Normally, if it's Friday night, it is strictly sports. But on this Thursday night, oh, yes, it is strictly sports. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Florio here with you for this very special edition of Strictly Sports. We're not calling it NFL Friday. We're not calling it College Football Thursday. We're just calling it straight up Strictly Sports tonight because, we're combining both elements into this show tonight, as well as a retrospective of 2016. And after giving it some thought, I reached out to Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock to see what the order should have been for this show tonight. Both scenarios are really good. And I think what we should do, I think we should start it off maybe with the retrospective. And that's probably, I think, how we should do it. Even though both scenarios are really good. Because we all know NFL power rankings are always the main event. And so that's really all there is to say on that. So we're going to start off with a retrospective of 2016 as it was this year in the world of sports. And of course, many of us know that 2016 will forever be remembered as the year of the obituary. I mean, it was not a good year to be a celebrity in the world of sports and in the world of pop culture and entertainment. I mean, so many legends and so many, men and women that we grew up, watching on television, whether it was, in a movie or a situation comedy or in the world of sports. I mean, of course, this year in sports, we lost a lot of greats. I mean, you look at Muhammad Ali and Gordie Howe, Arnold Palmer, just to name a few in the world of sports who passed away this year. Of course, Craig Sager, the great broadcaster, passing away just recently, and the whole 9 yards. And this year, unfortunately, will be well remembered for all the legendary men and women who passed away in sports, pop culture, and entertainment. But this year in sports was also a very interesting one, and two very special things happened this year. Two things we never thought we would see in our lifetime, and it happened, and both of those things happened. Of course, this year it all started, with the second annual college football playoff, and the Alabama Crimson Tide showing us why they are the kings of college football and defeating Clemson in what was an unbelievable national championship game, maybe the greatest one ever. That 45-40 win at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the home of Shakespearean drama at its finest. And MF and I are gonna have the honor of covering the semifinal game that we're gonna get into in just a little bit with Ohio State and Clemson, because that game is gonna be in that very venue on Saturday night. So we're really looking forward to that. And then from there, we had the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50. The Denver Broncos defeating the Carolina Panthers 24-10. Not the best Super Bowl of all time, which was a shame because, a game of that magnitude, with it being the 50th anniversary of the Super Bowl, that really should have been a 5-star classic chock full of Shakespearean drama. And unfortunately, we really didn't get that with Carolina and Denver. I guarantee you, if it had been the other way around, New England and Arizona, I think that would have been a 5-star with Shakespearean drama at its finest. But we got a so-so game out of it. And Denver won it, and Peyton Manning got to go out on top as a champion. It always warms me. It always makes me happy to see, an athlete of superstar caliber go out on top. And Peyton Manning did just that. Joining the likes of Jerome Bettis and Ray Lewis, Michael Strahan, just to name a few who got to go out on top as a Super Bowl champion. And got his Super Bowl. He got the Super Bowl championship that the city of Denver wanted, and mission accomplished. And got to go out a champion. And Von Miller, I mean, was one of the great Super Bowl performances from a defensive player in history. I mean, carry that over with that AFC Championship game against the Patriots. Just really good stuff on that. And then we had March Madness, the NCAA tournament. I mean, another phenomenal tournament. And then on April the 4th of this year, at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, my Lord, we witnessed a national championship game for the ages. Classic case of my favorite conference, the Big East, which Villanova was representing, going up against maybe the greatest team in the history of the ACC, North Carolina. Michael Fletcher was hoping for that. Was hoping that the ACC was going to reign supreme again, but no, it was Villanova winning it. Chris Jenkins with a 3 at the buzzer to win the national championship. And honestly, we all agreed that was the greatest national championship game in the history of March Madness, the NCAA tournament. There have been some great ones, but that one, wow, what a game that was. That was 5 stars, Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. And I was so happy that Villanova won it. I was so happy because, I'm a Big East guy, and it was awesome to see the Big East get the national championship trophy back in that conference. And really, really, I was so happy when they won that. That was awesome. And then, of course, then came the month of June the 12th of this year in San Jose, California. Much to the chagrin of myself and Michael Fletcher as New York Ranger fans, one of our most hated rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, skated the Stanley Cup, winning their 4th Stanley Cup in franchise history, defeating an upstart San Jose Sharks team in the Stanley Cup Finals, winning it in 6 games. And Sidney Crosby, did it. He was the Conn Smythe Trophy winner and led his team to their 4th Stanley Cup in their history. And as much as we hate their guts, I mean, we couldn't help but respect and appreciate the effort they put in. And the following week, though, Father's Day night, who will ever forget it? I mean, not just because of what happened in the world of professional wrestling with Money in the Bank and the craziness that went down at Money in the Bank in Las Vegas. No. We also had Game 7 of the NBA Finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. Exactly how it should have been. You think about it. With everything going, with the storylines going in, Cleveland looking to win its first major sports championship in 52 years, and the Golden State Warriors looking to cement themselves, looking to cement the greatest single season in NBA history. They go 73-9 to set a new single season record for a regular season record for most wins in a season, surpassing the 95-96 Chicago Bulls, who won 72. Came down to the final day of the season for them to get that, and they did it. And then they meet in a Game 7 of the NBA Finals that I remember good old MF Michael Fletcher said, and I quote, the greatest Game 7 in NBA Finals history. I could not agree with that more. That was the greatest Game 7 of all time. Kyrie Irving with a late 3, and then LeBron James with maybe the greatest block in NBA history, with the block of Andre Iguodala, and that did it. And that gave the Cleveland Cavaliers their first ever NBA championship, and the first championship for the city of Cleveland in 52 years. Just amazing. And I say what you want about LeBron and whatnot. He's a nog and a diva and the whole 9 yards, but what he did for his home city, I mean, you couldn't help but respect and appreciate that. And I certainly did. And just amazing how that all turned out. And then, we had the summer on the whole 9 yards. And then what happened, to me, as great as that story was, with the Cleveland Cavaliers winning, I said there were 2 great stories. That was one of them. But the other story that I will forever remember from 2016, go Cubs, go. The Chicago Cubs for 108 years, this iconic franchise in the National League, so many fans all around the world, not just in Chicago, but all Cubs fans around the world, young and old, had to endure. And they kept asking, when is it going to be our turn? When are we going to finally get that moment? When is that moment going to come when we get to raise the World Series championship? Well, Cubs fans, after 108 years of pain and heartache and agony in the whole 9 yards, November 2nd, and there it is. Michael Bullock, he's got it. He came through on his promise. He vowed that if the Cubs actually won, he was actually going to buy a hat and a shirt, and go figure, he did it. There it is. November the 2nd of this year in Cleveland, Ohio, Progressive Field. The Chicago Cubs did what the Cleveland Cavaliers did in the NBA Finals, came back from 3-1 down to win the World Series, and in Game 7, of course, greatest World Series Game 7 of all time. Yes, it looked like it was going to be a dud. The Cubs were, blowing them out. It looked like the Cubs were well on their way to winning, and then the Indians just rallied, and then Rajai Davis with a 2-run homer to tie the game. Progressive Field goes into euphoria, and then the rains came. The skies opened up. And then after about a 34-minute delay, game resumed. And then the Cubs took charge in the 10th inning. Ben Zobrist with the RBI hit, and then they added an insurance run, and then Cleveland got another run to make it a run game. But then Chris Bryant, the throw to Anthony Rizzo, and that was it. And the Chicago Cubs finally, after 108 years, got to celebrate the World Series. And Matt Ward and all Cubs fans, young and old, finally got their magic moment. And especially those older fans. I mean, those old enough to be our grandparents or great-grandparents or aunts and uncles. I mean, for them to celebrate, a Chicago Cubs World Series championship. I mean, the three of us never thought we'd see that in our lifetime, because historically they were bad, very bad. I mean, they would have some good years here and there, but no, they were the favorites from the start of the season, and they showed why. They had the best record, 103 wins, and a World Series for the ages, a Game 7 for the ages, one we're going to be talking about for years and years to come. And so if you asked me about 2016 in the world of sports, I'll always remember the championships. I'll also remember, in the world of soccer, I mean, with Portugal winning the Euro tournament, and it set off the wildest and craziest celebration the city of East Providence, Rhode Island had ever seen. And I don't live too far from I wasn't too far from all that mayhem and the whole 9 yards. I mean, Derek Ferreira, our own Derek Ferreira, was even there. And, the heart of it was, well, down the street from me at the Madeira restaurant and the Portuguese Athletic Club. I mean, oh man, I mean, it was a rainy day, just like it was here today. And I mean, celebrations into the streets. It was a block party. Police officers were even celebrating. And Derek Ferreira said it was a day he would never forget. And I'm right there with him. I mean, I may not be a Portuguese soccer fan like he is, but man, I mean, that was the wildest and craziest scene. And even though the noise did get to me a little bit, as I'm a guy who likes peace and quiet at times, but I can understand why the celebration there was. So that's definitely another thing I'll remember. And all the great games of this year, all the championship moments, but the ones that really stood out were, of course, the Chicago Cubs. That's the one that really stands out to me, being the baseball guy that I am, and our friend Matt Ward, and just seeing that awesome scene. something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. And you remember that post I said. I mean, MF and I, we covered it, and it was a night that he and I will never forget. Game 7, and the Cubs finally winning and breaking through, and MF doing the infamous Cubs win, Cubs win, Cubs win. I mean, that was just an awesome moment, and an awesome moment to add to his legacy. So, and then the Cavs winning, first ever NBA title, Cleveland getting its big moment. Nearly had a second this year, but I mean, and the night of game one of the World Series, and a Cavs banner raising ceremony. Wow. How awesome was that, huh? That's a night we'll never forget. And so, while this year may have been full of way too close to home celebrity deaths and the whole 9 yards, people we grew up watching on television and listening records and CDs of, I mean, the close to home deaths. I mean, there were a few that got to me. Of course, the first big one that got to me, Glenn Frey of the Eagles. Me being an Eagles fan, and I am the Glenn Frey and Michael Fletcher's Don Henley, and the whole 9 yards, and that one really hit close. And then some other greats, and Gordie Howe. I mean, with the Detroit Red Wings, and about my love of hockey, but we also pay respect to those who passed in the world of sports. I mean, Muhammad Ali, Arnold Palmer, Gordie Howe, Dennis Green, Craig Sager, who just passed away, and another broadcasting great, John Saunders, who unexpectedly passed away. I mean, I never knew there was anything wrong with him, and then he passed away right around my birthday. And yes, and he was those two guys. I mean, Sager and Saunders, they touched a lot of lives, and Muhammad Ali with what he did for civil rights and the whole 9 yards, and Gordie Howe with hockey, and Denny Green with his great coaching in the NFL, and Arnold Palmer, and we can add another. And unfortunately, we had to add another coaching legend to the world of close to home deaths today. Legendary BYU football coach Lavelle Edwards. He passed away today, and that was back when we were small children. That was back when we were babies. That's when Lavelle Edwards and BYU were making their case as one of the top teams in college football, and he's definitely going to be missed. And all the great folks in sports and entertainment and pop culture, they're all going to be sorely missed. And our hearts go out to those who to their families and friends and colleagues and the whole 9 yards. And here's hoping, and we're going to pray that 2017 will be a much better year, and hopefully the close to home deaths will be kept at a big time minimum. I do not want to see another laundry list of close to home deaths, because this year we had way too many of them, and especially over the last couple of days with Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds now passing away, and a couple of days from now can't get here fast enough. But 2016, while it will be remembered for the year of the obituary, it will also be remembered for a wonderful year in sports, especially with the Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's all I can say on it. So, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, let's bring you on in. It's time for you to reflect on 2016 in the world of sports. I mean, you heard my standout moments. I mean, and all those standout moments, a lot of those standout moments we got to be there for. I mean, the Cubs and the Cavs, most notably. I mean, I know those stood out to you, but what else to you, Michael Fletcher? When you think about 2016, what stood out for you other than the great year in the world of sports and, unfortunately, the year of the obituary?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of passing away, no doubt about it. But I mean, from the Super Bowl to the NCAA tournament, like you said, Anthony, the college football playoff a lot of remarkable moments. Stanley Cup final, the NBA finals. For me, even the Copa America Centenario that actually what happened here in the United States. Chile, the defending Copa America champions, won that tournament. A remarkable story for them. The UEFA Champions League final, which was the Battle of Madrid. It was Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid winning the cup, which was another championship for Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, the Euro 2016. Then you had the Summer Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. USA really dominated that, won a lot of medals this year, and it was all about the final five. Simone Biles, Ali Raceman, all these lovely ladies in gymnastics, how dominant they were. The USA was winning in so many different events that was remarkable. This had to be the most successful for the USA in all of the Olympic Games. I don't think there's ever been a bad year that they've ever had. Of course, for you golf fans out there, the Ryder Cup went down in Minnesota this year, and the United States won that cup, won the championship easily over the Euros, and then against the European, and then of course the World Series. World Series I've ever seen in my lifetime, and like I said, greatest Game 7 ever. So, and then we had, and then you had the world of boxing. There was some good fights that happened this year. Of course, with Canelo Alvarez beating Miguel Cotto. Now we got something to really look forward to in 2017 because they've just announced Miguel. It's gonna be. Yanni Golovkin, Triple G, is gonna fight. He's gonna fight Canelo Alvarez this September 17th, in 2017 in Las Vegas, and the whole world is going absolutely ballistic over that. So we already got a mega fight going, and then in the world of the UFC, I mean, what is there to say? From the success of Conor McGregor, the championships won by Miesha Tate, Holly Holm losing the belt to Miesha, the epicness of the UFC 200. Anthony, you were there to witness it. Then just not too long ago, the UFC 205 from Madison Square Garden for the first time ever. This was an amazing 2016. Yes, it was the year of the obituaries, no doubt about it. And, we'll forever remember and never forget those individuals who have passed away. But, I mean, hopefully 2017 will be a lot better. And what a way to start it with the New Year's Six and the college football playoff. Actually, on New Year's Eve, the college football playoff commences. So, I mean, we'll get into that in just a little bit. Michael Bullock, give me your 2 cents about the year in review.
Yeah, certainly it's been the year of the obituary, no doubt about it. We lost a lot of great sports figures and celebrities and all that, and definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to them and their families. Here's hoping that 2017 will be a much better year, no doubt about it. But when it comes to the world of sports, I mean, a lot of great things stood out. I mean, yeah, the Rio Olympics with the dominance of the United States of America with all the medals they won, especially the gold medals. Yeah, that's something I'll definitely enjoy. Of course, Alabama winning another national championship to begin the year. Yeah, could they make it back to back? We'll definitely get into it. But yeah, I mean, and then of course an unbelievable men's NCAA basketball tournament, including a national championship game, which was 5 stars and beyond. And man, it really crushed me in that in my father's tournament pool that I was in. And the thing is, if North Carolina had had won that game, I would have won the whole thing. And as soon as that shot went off at the buzzer, I mean, it was like, oh, it was like a someone taking a knife and basically twisting it. That's how it felt to me. But all in all, it was really such a great game. One we'll all never forget. And yeah, and of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the NBA championship, the city of Cleveland experiencing an NBA or a championship of any kind for the first time in over 50 years. And yeah, like you said, Florio, say what you want about LeBron James. I mean, he does act like a noggin diva, but what he did in those final 3 games of that NBA Finals was legendary, and he was the reason why the Cavs came back from that 3-1 deficit. And I mean, yeah, the Warriors were on the verge of completing the greatest season in NBA history, and LeBron said, "Boys, get on my back. I'm taking this team to a championship." And boy, he did. He really did. And no surprise, he was named, of course, the Finals MVP. And then, of course, in baseball, of course, a great World Series. What can you say about it? I mean, you had 2 teams that had long World Series droughts, the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs going at it. Someone's World Series drought was going to come to an end, and it ended up being the Chicago Cubs. And I remember texting Florio that night of Game 7. We were going, I mean, it looked like the Cubs were basically going to run away with it, but the Indians came back, tied the game on a Rajai Davis home run, and then the rains came. And I was like saying to myself, of all the times this had to happen in a Game 7, I was really hoping it would pass by quickly, and it did. And the Cubs rallied in the top of the 10th and took the lead. And when that final out was made, all of Cubs Nation was rejoicing. I mean, you could only imagine that night. I mean, so many Cubs fans are thinking of loved ones that were hoping to see the Chicago Cubs win a World Series before they die, and I'm pretty sure they were thinking of loved ones that night. So yeah, it's a World Series I'll definitely never forget, and especially Game 7, and it topped Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, the greatest Game 7 in World Series history. So of course, you got the Dallas Cowboys, who are having a really good season, but then again, so are the Patriots, and of course they finish up the NFL season comes to an end on New Year's Day. Of course, we'll crown a new champion in the National Football League this year, and of course, we still got one more thing going on before the 2016 comes to a close. And that's the big fight on tomorrow night. The return of Ronda Rousey against Amanda Nunes for the UFC Bantamweight Championship, and a lot of people are going to be wondering, I mean, how will Ronda Rousey do in her first fight since she lost the Bantamweight title to Holly Holm? I'm certainly going to be interested to see it all unfold tomorrow night. I know you two are definitely going to be into it, and damn it, I'm going to be into it too. So another chapter is going to be written going to the end of 2016. Could Ronda Rousey give us something to remember to close out 2016? We're just going to have to wait and find out, but definitely a big year in the world of sports. But of course, like you said, it's all patron to the all the passings with sports figures and celebrities. But all in all, it was a really good year when it comes to sports. So with that being said, Florio, I think we're gonna move on now, which I think is the New Year's Six.
Yes. Yes,
Yep,
indeed, Michael
let's
Bullock.
talk about it.
Yeah, New Year's Six. The New Year's Six, and we're gonna start it off with our first game, which is going to take place tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I believe this will be broadcast on ESPN. I do believe. It's going to be the number 6 Michigan Wolverines squaring off against the number 11 Florida State Seminoles from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. On the call for, and I do know that on the call for ESPN, I do believe it will be. It's going to be the 3 men who called more Michigan games this year than anybody: Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Todd McShay. They will be at the Orange Bowl for Michigan and Florida State. Only fitting because they called so many Michigan games this year, especially in Michigan. And the spread favors Michigan. Michigan is a touchdown favorite, 7 points across the board. And I think it's only fitting that we started off with our number 1 diehard Michigan Wolverine fan, good old MF Michael Fletcher, and because I started off on our retrospective. So MF, I want to start this one off with you here, because everybody knows, it's well documented, you and Michael Bullock are both huge Michigan football fans, and a phenomenal season for you guys. I mean, in that championship mix up until the very end of the year, up until November, when you ran into Iowa and Ohio State, and it cost you boys a shot at the national championship. But hey, you got a shot at one of the most prestigious games of the year, my favorite of the bowl games, the Orange Bowl, mainly because of that Orange Bowl trophy. So practically a home game for Florida State, but Michigan still a 7-point favorite. So MF, Michigan, Florida State. What do you think about this upcoming Orange Bowl? I think this is going to be a good one.
This could be a good one, no doubt about it. Michigan, how is it gonna react after their heart got broken to Ohio State in that game? To me, I'm still I was demoralized. I think you guys knew that. I kind of waxed poetic about the game as well, saying how tough it was for me to even commentate or do the next show after what had happened to Michigan. Admit it still stings to this very day, but yeah. And then once the New Year 6, well, after they announced the playoff and everything else, we were like, okay, so this is what we got, this is what we're gonna have to deal with. But then I found out that Florida State and Michigan, okay, that's one great game already. But then I flipped out when I found out it's gonna be the Orange Bowl and the game was in Miami. I'm like, how fair is that if you're a Michigan fan? I mean, you would think, oh, they'll probably throw us maybe, I don't know, you kind of hope that it's somebody else, maybe an Oklahoma, maybe an Auburn, another game, another battle. But no, they throw Florida State at us, and in a stadium that they already played in once because they beat Miami, and that was an almost 5-star classic game. So they already are familiar with that field, in that stadium, in the conditions. And against Michigan, I'm like, oh my God, what? You guys are you kidding me? But I'm really confident about Michigan and what they can bring to the table. Wilson Speight, this is his final game wearing the maize and blue. I think he'll have a great game. I also think that the running game will be good, but it's gonna be it's gonna be about Peppers. Peppers has been the biggest, amazing player. He's gonna be unbelievable in that final game. This is going to be the moment that he could literally shine for all the NFL scouts, because remember, he is going to be going to the NFL draft. He's a senior. So what are we going to see? What's going to happen here? I think Michigan's going to get the job done. I think they just have such a great thing. Now, there was rumors about maybe there's a threat that there could be with Jim Harbaugh, that he could go back to the NFL. He squashed all those rumors, flat out saying, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay with Michigan. Thank God for that, because our job is not done in Michigan. I'm being real honest with you. For me, Michigan gets the job done. This is going to be a good game. My final score, I'm going to say 31-21. Michigan defeats Florida State. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yes, this is a game I'm definitely looking forward to here with my team, Michigan and Florida State, and Jabril Peppers for Michigan. I mean, he's not the only one that could be that's going to be playing his final game. Florida State's Dalvin Cook could be playing in his final game too. So yeah, so two really big players could be playing in their final college game. So yes, well, even though Dalvin Cook hasn't made his decision yet, but we'll wait and see. But I mean, you get that feeling that it could be his final game. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, that defense for Michigan, they're going to do whatever they can to try to slow down Dalvin Cook because of course, the Wolverines, of course, they have they rank second nationally, of course, in scoring defense and total defense overalls. And they rank 13th in rush defense. So, yeah, so it's going to be a real test for Dalvin Cook. Yeah, so, I mean, and the Michigan's playing with a chip on their shoulder because, remember, they lost that big game to Ohio State where it pretty much cost them a chance to be in the college football playoff. So that's going to be something to see. And I think Wilson Spade, I think will play a solid game here. And also, I think Jake Butt, their senior tight end, I think could have a big game receiving. Yeah, and for the Florida State, and Florida State's defense, it's basically been up and down. I mean, they've allowed an average of 45.7 points in their 3 defeats. But they do have two big-time players in senior defensive end DeMarcus Walker and sophomore cornerback Tavares McFadden. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do against that Michigan offense. And yeah, so this is definitely going to be a fun game to watch, but I think Michigan's definitely I got Michigan winning this one as well. My final score, I'm going to go 31-24. Michigan beats Florida State and wins the Orange Bowl. So, Florio, it's yours.
Dalvin Cook is likely playing in his final college game when he steps on the field at the Orange Bowl. Certainly makes the Florida State junior different than the other two running backs projected to go in the first round of the NFL draft. Cook has not announced a decision regarding his future, but he wasn't interested in the paths taken by LSU's Leonard Fournette and Stanford's Christian McCaffrey, who chose to sit out their respective bowl games. Instead, Cook is aiming to lead his Seminoles against Michigan tomorrow night, and he's ranked as the 12th best overall NFL. Well, we're not going to get really into this. You know what we're going to really do? We're just going to get into the games itself. Dalvin Cook will be facing a stout defensive unit in the Wolverines, who rank second nationally in scoring defense at 12.5 points a game and total defense at 253 yards a game. Michigan ranks 13th in rushing defense and has limited opponents to a 3.1 average per carry and allowed just 7 rushing touchdowns. but the defenders understand they have a big challenge on their hands. The Wolverines have shaken off the disappointment at being passed over for the 14 college football playoff. Michigan instead has its sights on becoming the 10th team in school history to win 11 or more games in a season. Wilton Speed's health is better after he was affected late in the season by an injury to his left collarbone. He had 2,375 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, regularly teaming up with senior tight end Jake Butt, who caught 43 passes for 518 yards and holds the school record for most career receptions and yardage by a tight end. Florida State's defense has been up and down. They allowed an average of 45.7 points in their 3 losses, but features 2 big-time players in senior defensive end DeMarcus Walker, who had 15 sacks, and sophomore cornerback Tavares McFadden, who tied for the national lead with 8 interceptions and won the Jack Tatum Award as the nation's top defensive back. Walker ranks 3rd in Florida State history with 27.5 sacks behind Raynard Wilson and Peter Boulware, and isn't shy when discussing his place against the school's all-time pass rushers. Michigan certainly has a bona fide star defender as well in star outside linebacker Jabril Peppers, who finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy balloting. He recorded 16 tackles for loss, including 4 sacks, and he also excels in pass coverage as a former safety. Setting him apart is the versatility that saw him average 26 yards on kickoff returns and 14.8 on punt returns, as well as his evolving role as an offensive player. The third-year sophomore is eligible for the NFL draft. He is rated the 3rd best overall prospect by NFL Draft Scout and will make a decision on his future after the Orange Bowl. Florida State averages 35.2 points on offense, and redshirt freshman quarterback DeAndre Francois threw for 3,128 yards and 18 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. I have no doubt this will be a phenomenal game. I think this will definitely be a classic game. I'll definitely be tuning in. I can't wait to see how it all goes down. At the end of the night, I gotta go with Michigan as well. I agree with these guys. A touchdown favorite. I mean, and they want to prove that that this season was not a fluke for them, and even though it's going to be in a Florida State mad stadium, with the game being in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, but nonetheless, I got the Michigan Wolverines winning this game as well. I'm gonna go 31-24. That's gonna be my final score. With Michigan winning it with Wilton Speed. It looks like he's gonna go, and I think he's gonna have a really good game. I really do, and the rest of the offensive unit, and of course Francois and Cook should have big games for Florida State. But I'm just feeling this Michigan team right now, so got to go with Michigan here, 31-24. Wouldn't be surprised if of course Florida State were to win, but that's really all I can say about that. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to save the college football playoff semifinal games for last, because I really don't want to.
Because those are big ones.
Yeah, we should save those for the back burner, and we're going to get into the other New Year's Six bowl games that are all going to go down on Monday, and we're going to start it off with the Cotton Bowl, where we have the number 15 Western Michigan Broncos squaring off against the number 8 Wisconsin Badgers. And this game will be broadcast on ESPN. And on the call for that game, it will be Bob Wischusen with Brock Heward and Allison Williams. And just got to look for the spread for this one. Spread favors Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a 7.5 to 8 point favorite. So, Michael Bullock, we're going to start this one off with you. Western Michigan and Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin always there, as you know, but what a year for Western Michigan. And honestly, I felt they were overlooked this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team I think that definitely got overlooked. I mean, what a year for them. I mean, they go undefeated. I mean, I don't think anybody had this. I don't think anybody had this team. Had them doing good this year, but boy, howdy, they really surprised everybody. And yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's taking this. I mean, I don't think they're getting the respect that they're getting. But the thing is, Hey, at least they're playing in a new. At least they're playing in a New Year's Six bowl game, so that's really nothing to sneeze at. So, but man, oh man, they got a huge task ahead of them going up against Wisconsin, and yeah, that defense of theirs, of course, they have to contain that offense led by freshman quarterback Alex Hornibrook and running back Corey Clement with 14 rushing touchdowns and over 1,300 yards rushing. But man, I mean, offensively for Western Michigan, they're really good too. So yeah, with Zach Terrell over 3,300 yards passing and 32 passing touchdowns, and Jarvian Franklin, who basically has 1,300 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns, and the receiving game is really good, led by Corey Davis with over 1,400 yards receiving and 18 touchdown receptions. So yeah, so I mean, like you said, Wisconsin comes in as a 9-point favorite. So yeah, so basically I got Wisconsin winning this one, but I think this is going to be a really close one. I think Western Michigan, I think they could give this Wisconsin team some fits because of some of the key guys on offense they have. But in the end, Wisconsin wins this one, and I'm going to go 34-31. Wisconsin wins this one. So yeah, I really got nothing else to say except Florio. Your thoughts on this game? What do you think? Do you think Western Michigan is not getting the respect they deserve?
Absolutely. I just said that. And,
I think the reason why is Florio. I think it's because of the conference they play in.
oh, of course. And that carries over. That carries over, not just in football, but also carries over to the hoops as well. I mean, that just really bothers me. Honestly, it really bothers.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it, it's all about the SEC. It's all about the Big Ten, all those power conferences.
Of course, and something needs to be done about that, really. But nonetheless, I'm just. I know Wisconsin is the favorite. I understand that 7.5 and everything else, but I got this feeling about Western Michigan. I mean, I really do. I mean, I know you've got Hornibrook. I know you've got Clement for Wisconsin. I get that. But you also have a great receiver for Western Michigan, Corey Davis, who set records this year. And Western Michigan, in my honest opinion, is being overlooked. And I think Michael Bullock sort of overlooked them again here because he's going with Wisconsin to win. I can understand that because they are a 7.5-point favorite. I understand that. But do I need to remind you about what happened about 10 or so years ago when a certain team out of Boise, Idaho went up against a powerhouse from Norman, Oklahoma? Do I even need to remind you about that?
I don't think you need to remind me about it. I mean, I remember watching that game where nobody gave Boise State a chance against Oklahoma.
That's
and
right.
Boise State pull off what I thought was one of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest upset in that era of the bowl championship series.
Exactly. And
let's not forget what happened afterwards, where Ian Johnson then proposed to that cheerleader, and she said yes.
Yeah, he
I'm like saying to myself, you cannot write a script like this. No freaking way.
No.
The funny thing is just yesterday they actually had Ian Johnson and his lovely wife on a Sports Center, as a matter of fact, and they've gone on. They have a beautiful daughter. I think she's like 7 years old now, and yeah, they're still together, still very happily married. Now they're just trying to live a normal life now. Actually, for Ian, he's actually a State Farm agent. Go figure. Uh,
Huh.
or
I still can't believe it's been 10 years since then. I mean,
yeah,
it seemed like it was only it felt like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years ago that it happened.
yeah, and they're actually they're still considered the golden couple of Boise State. They actually still live in Boise, still to this very day. So yeah.
Yes. So getting back to this, we have a lot to get into here. So, but nonetheless, I know Bullock's got Wisconsin winning, and I wouldn't be surprised if Wisconsin won. No one need not, but I'm going against the grain here. I believe in this Western Michigan team, and I think they have what it takes to pull off an upset here. So I'm going with Western Michigan. I think Western Michigan can pull this thing out. I really do. My final score, I'm gonna go 24-21. Western Michigan beats Wisconsin. I feel that spirit. I feel the spirit of that game from 10 years ago with Boise and Oklahoma. I really do. I think they can do what Boise did to them. I really do. I think they got the team for it. So give me Western Michigan. I'm not overlooking them. Michael Fletcher and we didn't overlook them. We put them as code number 2s in our power rankings towards the tail end of the season, for goodness sake. That doesn't tell you anything. Because that's how much we respect and we believe in this team. So with that being said, I got Western Michigan winning. So MF, age-old question. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Bullock in Wisconsin, or do you agree with me and Western Michigan?
This is a tough call. I think out of all the games, I think this is going to be considered one of the toughest, maybe if not the toughest, in my eyes. I just don't know how you cannot really say that, I get it. Wisconsin is definitely the favorite, and I think a lot of people are going to say that and believe it. But then you get, a team like Western Michigan, and I'll openly admit that this is a once in a lifetime team. A team that we never thought was going to be amazing, a team we never thought was you know, going to be a major factor or a major whatever, and all of a sudden here they are, or here it is, and now all of a sudden we're that close to what could, I mean, yes, a lot of people believe it could be yet another, Boise State situation. I don't know if that's really the case. It's going to be a great battle, no doubt about it. um it's going to be tight down to the wire. um I'm gonna say it. I think Western Michigan is gonna pull the upset, 28-27. Anthony, let's move on to the next game.
All right. So with that said, let's move on to our next New Year's Six bowl game, and it's the granddaddy of them all. It's the Rose Bowl, from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. The number 9 USC Trojans squaring off against the number 5 Penn State Nittany Lions on ESPN. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Samantha Ponder. Don't be surprised if Tom Rinaldi is there too, because of the magnitude of this game. After all, it's the granddaddy of them all, like I said, and the spread. I got so many tabs open here. All right, and believe it or not, USC, a 7-point favorite in this game. Yeah, about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. SC came on very strong at the end. They really did. And believe me, as a Notre Dame fan, I know all about that all too well. But I just have something about this Penn State team. But let me just get it like this. I mean, both of these teams might as well be looking into a mirror. I mean, both of these teams are the comeback kids of college football. Two programs that reclaimed the high ground after NCAA sanctions and surged into the postseason after sputtering Septembers. The Trojans have won 8 in a row, including a victory at playoff-bound Washington. Big Ten champion Penn State has won 9 straight, including a home victory over playoff-bound Ohio State. These two hot teams will meet on Monday afternoon in the granddaddy of them all. Each team has a quarterback who will be mentioned in early watch lists for the 2017 Heisman Trophy. Sam Darnold of USC and Penn State sophomore Trace McSorley. Darnold, a freshman. For that matter, each has a potential Heisman candidate at running back. USC's Ronald Jones II and Penn State's Saquon Barkley. Another similarity, while the Nittany Lions carry the old reputation of a stodgy, cloud of dust offense, this year's version is an up-tempo spread offense that loves to take deep shots down the field and is explosive, just like USC. McSorley has been an absolute revelation this season, evolving into one of the nation's top quarterbacks. His 16.3 yards per completion ranks #1 nationally, and his 3,360 yards passing led the Big Ten heading into the bowl season. He utilizes 4 primary receivers as well as tight end Mike Gesicki. Although big play threat Saheed Blacknall is suspended for a violation of team rules, so too is linebacker Manny Bowen. McSorley, like Darnold, a crafty scrambler who can extend plays, shredded Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game. Completed 21 of 31 passes for 384 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Penn State roared back to win that game 38-31 after trailing 28-7. The Nittany Lions are relentless, posting a plus 193 scoring average in the second half. Barkley can be a one-man wrecking crew heading in the backfield, entering the game with 1,320 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns en route to Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year honors. Meanwhile, Penn State's passing game will be an interesting test against a speedy USC secondary that features Jim Thorpe Award-winning cornerback Adoree Jackson and cornerback Iman Marshall. USC likely has the most talented wideout in the game, though, in Juju Smith-Schuster. Neither he or Jackson, both juniors with first-round potential, have announced their plans for next season. Jones ran for 1,027 yards in the regular season with 742 yards coming in the final 5 games as tag team running back Justin Davis was limited with an ankle injury. Darnold leads the nation's freshman in passing efficiency, 161. Completion percentage, 68.1. Touchdown passes, 26. And yards per attempt, 8.4. Through multiple scoring passes in each of the team's 8 consecutive wins, the longest streak by a USC quarterback since Matt Leinart did so 15 times in a row between 2003 and 2004. USC season turned after coach Clay Helton inserted Darnold into the starting lineup for Max Brown, who transferred to Pitt after the regular season. And suddenly, football was fun again at USC, just like at Penn State. Penn State coach James Franklin went 7-6 in each of his first 2 seasons as he's finished cleaning up from NCAA sanctions, including scholarship limitations from the Jerry Sandusky child sexual abuse scandal. Penn State is back with a full 85 scholarships, as is USC, following its punishment over illegal benefits to former running back Reggie Bush. Now it's all roses again. And that's what it is. And this is going to be a fun game. I think this can definitely be a 5-star classic. I feel that we can get some Shakespearean drama out of this. Both offenses are dynamic. I'm sorry, Michael Fletcher. I don't think you're going to get a 9-6 or 6-3 defensive battle. Oh no, this is going to be a high-scoring affair. And then both teams are great. And I mean, even though deep down I hate SC's guts because I'm a Notre Dame guy, I can't help but respect and appreciate what they did. I mean, they were so fun to watch for the first time since the Pete Carroll days. But it's just this feeling about Penn State. I mean, especially after that amazing comeback in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin. I mean, turning that game from an absolute dud to a 5-star classic with Shakespearean drama in Indianapolis at the start of this month. So there's really nothing left for me to say here. I mean, both teams are fun. All offensive players are going to have humongous games, especially the quarterbacks, Darnold and McSorley. But I got to go with Penn State. I mean, I know USC is a touchdown favorite. I understand that, and I respect that. But I just got to go with Penn State. I mean, Penn State has just been they've just been scary good right now. And they're back when it comes to Big Ten football. I mean, it's not all about Ohio State and Michigan anymore. Penn State is back in there too. So behind McSorley and Barkley and the rest of the offensive unit, I think it will come down to an offensive play late, and I think Penn State's going to benefit. So I'm going to go with Penn State to win it. My final score, 41-38. Penn State over USC in what I think will be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Rose Bowl game I've ever seen. So now we're going to bring in our resident Rose Bowl authority, Goodell MF Michael Fletcher. MF, when it comes to the bowl games, I mean, I'm all about the Orange Bowl, but the Rose Bowl, I know for you has a special place in your heart, and I know this matchup has the feel of an old school Rose Bowl matchup with two of the greatest programs in college football history, USC, Penn State, the granddaddy of them all, man. And I know how much you love the Rose Bowl. I know it holds a special place in your heart. And so if you would, Michael Fletcher, wax poetic about your favorite college bowl game, the granddaddy of them all.
I mean, what is there to say? I mean, it's the lineage, it's the tradition, it wouldn't be New Year's Day if it wasn't a Rose Bowl game. And unfortunately, this year it's on January 2nd, which is beyond me to say. But I think I know why, because the NFL kind of is gonna rule the roost on New Year's Day. So I get it. College doesn't want to impede on that as well. So fine, no problem. I'm not gonna make a big stink about it. But I mean, what a game it's gonna be! What a battle it's gonna be! The excitement level is going to be through the roof. No doubt about that. And the game itself is going to be unbelievable. I mean, when you got two really good teams, Penn State and USC. Penn State, what a remarkable season for them. And I know a lot of Penn State fans are really bitter because of the fact that a lot of them believe they should be in the college football playoff. You know, they did win their conference, they won the division, and, you know, they only had 2 losses. The 2 losses was actually early in the year. It was a bad loss, and then they got destroyed by Michigan. But they did beat Ohio State, and we're going to get into Ohio State when we get into the playoff in a little bit. But, I mean, it's an apple to oranges argument. Of course, USC, the one team that a lot of people believe you don't want to play right now because of everything that has happened with them this season. You know, they did struggle at the beginning of the year. They turned it around, got on such a major hot streak towards the end of the season. I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry, Anthony. I disagree with you. I think USC is too hot. They're too good. They're too strong for Penn State, even though I think Penn State's going to make a game out of it just because it's in California. You know, the SC fans are going to be there in front of over 100,000. I think the fan support is going to definitely be SC. It's just the perfect storm for USC to solidify themselves as once again a major threat and another powerhouse. They're back. They're going to be better than ever in 2017. Give me the USC Trojans to win this one. Yes, it's not going to be low scoring. Sometimes, a lot of the times, um, these Rose Bowl games are hardly ever low scoring battles. I'm saying 28-24, USC knocks off Penn State. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I gotta try to figure, who do I go with? Do I go with Anthony Florio and the Penn State Nittany Lions, or do I go with Mike Fletch and the USC Trojans? It's tough for me to decide, but yeah, I mean, this game, I mean, it's basically a game of the comeback kids because, like you just mentioned, Florio, both of these teams have reclaimed the high ground basically after all those NCAA sanctions that they suffered. And yeah, I mean, and you also have 2 teams who are hot. I mean, you got the USC Trojans. They've won 8 in a row, including a win over Washington. And you have the Big Ten champion Penn State Nittany Lions, who have won 9 in a row, including a home victory over Ohio State. So, Yeah, this is a tough one to decide. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, yeah, ever since Sam Darnold was put in as the quarterback, this USC offense has really been really good, no doubt about it. Yeah, but this is tough. But I gotta go with the Penn State Nittany Lions in this one. Uh, yeah, I mean, sorry, Mike Fletcher, but when you got a team that's won basically 9 in a row, including a win over Ohio State on your home field, that to me is convincing for me enough. So Penn State's gonna win. It's gonna be a high scoring game. I'm gonna say 45-38 Penn State over USC in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to our next New Year's Six matchup, and it's the Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl, yes, sir. From the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. 8:30 on ESPN. The number 14 Auburn Tigers, a la Lindsey McCormick, squaring off against the number 7 Oklahoma Sooners, a la Jim Ross. This game will be broadcast on ESPN, of course, and on the call for this one, I'm so glad he's going to get a chance to do it. I'm so glad this legend's going to get a chance to call a New Year's Six game. You are looking live at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Yes, Brent Musburger, Jesse Palmer, and Kaylee Hartung, they will be in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. And the spread currently favors Oklahoma only by 3. So, all right, Michael Fletcher, let's start this one off with you here. Oklahoma, Jim Ross will be representing them. And, of course, when you think about Auburn, of course, you can't help but think about, my beautiful angel herself, Lindsey McCormick, who I've been contacting a lot lately. So, all right, Auburn and Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. Oklahoma, of course, we know Oklahoma deserves to be in a New Year's Six game, but Auburn, I mean, some people question why Auburn is even in this game. Honestly, many felt they really didn't do enough to qualify for a New Year's Six bowl. I'm sort of one of them, if I'm being honest. I mean, they had a great year. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know why Auburn's in this game. But MF, we started with you here. Auburn and Oklahoma squaring off in the Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma, 3-point favorite. I mean, Oklahoma deserves to be there. Does Auburn deserve to be there in your eyes? I'm not sure about that.
Lindsey McCormick, I'm sorry, baby girl. No, they don't. When you got 4 losses on the season, there's no conceivable, or even, I'll admit, there's no conceivable or even it's reprehensible. It's reprehensible. I don't understand why they're in it. I don't even know why they got selected. I mean, come on. I mean, you could make an argument for a whole bunch of other teams that's probably more worthy enough than this team is, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it kind of it gives off a wrong message for me that, despite your record, which Auburn is 8-4. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I could make an argument. What about for Colorado? I mean, what does Colorado? Why is the Buffalo not in it? I mean, you could even make an argument. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. It just feels. It stinks. Let's say that. I just can't defend it. I don't like the decision. But Auburn got where they got. Even though they're number 14 in the nation, like I said, I just don't see how on earth this can happen. I mean, to me, if you're really honest, and I'm gonna be brutally honest for you guys, if you want my team, who I believe is more deserving, is Colorado. They're number 10 in the nation. They're 10-3 on the year, and they were, as a matter of fact, they played for the Pac-12 championship. I don't even think Auburn even played for a championship this year. They were not even in the SEC final. If you remember correctly, I think it was Alabama and Florida that played for the SEC title. So, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Fine, Auburn is there. You're not winning that game. I'm sorry. I think with the way this is happening, I'm telling you right now, if Auburn wins this game, there's going to be some bitter taste in the mouth of a lot of fans because I, I don't understand the committee at all with this decision. I don't. I'm sorry. I got Oklahoma winning. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree. I mean, I don't like it either with Auburn being in there, but we can't complain about it. I mean, it's the committee's decision. I mean, we could say we don't like the decision all we want, but it was their decision to put them in there, and unfortunately, we have to respect their decision. Uh, so yeah, but either way, I gotta agree. I mean, I got Oklahoma winning this one. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go as far as to say I think this is gonna be a blowout. That's how I see it. Um, I'm gonna say, I mean, because Oklahoma's just too. They got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Baker Mayfield, Dede Westbrook, Samaje Perine. I mean, I just think it's going to be tough for Auburn to really stop them. So yeah, Oklahoma wins this one big. Boomer Sooner. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. Let's get one thing straight. This is not your grandfather's Sugar Bowl. The changed landscape created by the college football playoff removes the traditional luster from the Sugar Bowl in non-championship years. But when 10-2 Oklahoma battles 8-4 Auburn on Monday night at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, there should be plenty of post-New Year's Eve offensive fireworks. The Sooners finished the regular season ranked third in the nation in scoring at 44.7 points a game and in total offense at 557.3 yards a game. Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield accounted for 38 passing touchdowns this year, completing 71.2% of his passes and throwing just 8 interceptions. Wide receiver Dede Westbrook had 16 touchdown receptions and averaged nearly 20 yards a catch. In the last 5 games, running back Samaje Perine rushed for more than 200 yards twice and 100 yards twice. No wonder Auburn coach Gus Malzahn expressed a level of concern about the Sooners' big playability. Before injuries put a crimp in Auburn's offense this season, the Tigers' new-look defense under defensive coordinator Kevin Steele provided more than a steadying influence. Auburn ranked 16th in the country in yards allowed per play, 4.88, despite being somewhat vulnerable to the pass. Overall, Auburn ranks 5th in the country in total defense. The Tigers allowed more than 29 points just once this season, and that was, of course, to Alabama. Defensive end Carl Lawson recorded 9 sacks, 12.5 tackles for loss, and 24 quarterback hurries. Despite nagging injuries, cornerback Joshua Holsey has been solid and will be needed to keep Dede Westbrook under control. Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops said even though the Sugar Bowl is not involved in the 14th playoff for the national championship this year, his players understand the magnitude of the game. And Auburn historically has been a strong bowl team. It won 5 consecutive bowl games before losing the BCS championship to Florida State in 2013. And the Tigers would like to carry the SEC banner proudly against a Big 12 power. The Big 12 struggled all season against non-conference opponents in the SEC, except for number 1 and undefeated Alabama, had a down year as well. Oklahoma's 2 losses came early in the season to Houston, a surprise team, and Ohio State. Oklahoma has lost 3 of its last 4 bowl games, and in the 3 losses, it has been outscored 128-36. Stoops has had to explain again the initial punishment he handed out to Joe Mixon, the talented running back who was suspended for 1 year for hitting a woman in a restaurant. A video was released publicly 3 weeks ago that showed the attack. We've addressed it and explained what our intentions were, Stoops said. In the end, we know we have a mission here this week, and we're going to be focused on that. Our guys are anxious to do that. All right. Now, you guys know it's been well documented on this show for the last, 2-3 years now. I love Lindsay McCormick very much. Everybody knows that. I mean, Lindsay has a special place in my heart. She really does. And as much as I love her and, everything about her, I'm sorry, my dear. My love, even though Auburn, Auburn started off, they went up against Clemson. They gave Clemson they gave Clemson major fits, and then they turned it around towards right around October and November. They got hot and played well, and then Alabama got a hold of them in the Iron Bowl, and Bama, pretty much took care of business on them. So, but the only thing I can say honestly is Auburn does not really deserve to be in this game. I mean, what did they do to warrant an invitation to this game? I mean, I agree with MF. I think Colorado. I think you could have made it. You really should have had Colorado in this game, honestly. Unless there's like some sort of conference alignment, maybe. That's probably the only thing I could think of. Unless this is slated to be a Big 12 versus SEC matchup, I think that might have been the reason why Auburn got into this game, because all the other great SEC teams were in other major bowl games and whatnot. But I respect Auburn and whatnot, but honestly, I got to go with Oklahoma as well. I mean, Mayfield, Westbrook, Mixon, Pirine, they're all going to have massive games, and I got Oklahoma winning this thing. I'm going to say 38-28. Oklahoma beats Auburn in this Sugar Bowl game. So, Lynn,
and speaking of Colorado, guys, right now they're losing to Oklahoma State 17-0 in the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Yeah. Perhaps we may need to rethink that little statement we just made a bit ago. But now, I
was going to say, if they end up getting shut out, we may need to take back our comments that we made.
Probably so.
And we'll probably say, maybe Auburn did deserve to be in there.
But gentlemen, it's time. You ready?
College football playoff time, baby.
The two semifinal games in the college football playoffs are here and now. We started off with the Peach Bowl. The number 4 Washington Huskies against your number 1 reigning and defending undisputed college football playoff national champion Alabama Crimson Tide. 3:00 Eastern on ESPN, Saturday afternoon on New Year's Eve. Joe Tessitore, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, they will be there for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Alabama, 13.5 to 14-point favorites. Michael Bullock, we started with you. The first big one right here. Does the Alabama dynasty continue? Or does Washington do the unthinkable and pull off one of the greatest upsets in the history of our sport?
Wow. Like I said, this is one I'm definitely going to be looking forward to. Of course, Nick Saban is part of the 14 college football playoff for the 3rd consecutive season, and the Alabama coach was quick to make a crucial observation. Saturday's national semifinal against number 4 Washington might be known as the Peach Bowl, but the carnival atmosphere and team competitions during the build-up to the game all seem like unnecessary second-rate distractions, according to Saban. Because there is a mighty important game looming that top-ranked Alabama needs to win. There is no doubt that only the winning team plays again this season, as the Crimson Tide look to defend last season's national title and win their 26th consecutive game. The Alabama players understand Saban's rationale, even if their youthful exuberance leads to cravings to enjoy the experience. But the bigger picture wins out, and the all-business approach prevails. Alabama Crimson Tide senior defensive end Jonathan Allen is one of the reasons Alabama rates as heavy favorites to slay the Huskies, who are playing in their most important game since claiming a share of the 1991 national championship by beating Michigan in the Rose Bowl. The 6'3", 291-pounder won the Nagurski Trophy as the National Defensive Player of the Year and heads a unit that leads the nation in scoring defense and total defense. Allen recorded 8.5 sacks and contributed 2 fumble return touchdowns. Allen also made an interesting discovery to him. While studying a Washington offense that averages 44.5 points a game and 77.2 yards a game, he happened to notice the Huskies average 210 yards per game on the ground in addition to the 267.2 through the air. Huskies sophomore Myles Gaskin fuels the running attack with 1,339 yards and 10 touchdowns. Junior backup Lavon Coleman sports a stellar 7.8 average while rushing for 836 yards and 7 touchdowns. Sophomore quarterback Jake Browning passed for 3,280 yards and a school record 42 touchdowns while winning Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year honors. He threw a school record 6 touchdown passes twice this season and is considered to be just scratching his potential. Avoiding miscues will be a crucial element for the Huskies, who have committed just 12 turnovers all season long, which is 7 interceptions and 5 fumbles. That's because the Crimson Tide have scored 10 defensive touchdowns, 5 on interceptions, 5 on fumble returns. That's the most opportunistic defense in the country. Alabama quarterback Jalen Hurts is a multi-dimensional threat who has accounted for 34 touchdowns, 22 passing, and 12 rushing. He has passed for 2,592 yards and rushed for 841 while masterfully running the offense. Hurts also is aiming to join Oklahoma's Jamel Holloway as the only true freshman quarterbacks to lead a team to a national title. Hurts will be attacking a Washington defense that is missing 2 of its best players in senior outside linebacker Joe Mathis and junior middle linebacker Azim Victor. The Huskies allow 17.2 points a game and possess a standout in junior free safety Budda Baker. Washington also hopes to get a big play in the return game. Junior receiver John Ross, who caught 76 passes for 1,122 yards and 17 touchdowns, has 4 career kickoff returns for a touchdown. Junior wideout Dante Pettis has 5 career punt return scores. In addition to Alabama's 10 defensive touchdowns, the Crimson Tide also scored on 3 punt returns and 1 blocked field goal. Man. Well, all I can say is, I got Alabama winning this one. Alabama's just too good. My final score, I'm gonna say 34. I'm gonna say 34-20. Alabama beats Washington. Jalen Hurts big game. Yeah, and that defense is definitely gonna make some big plays. So give me the Crimson Tide to win this one and move on to the national championship game. So Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, you pretty much touched on everything there, Bullock. I like Alabama too. Until I see differently. Jalen Hurts will have a big game. Octavius Stewart's going to have a big game. Ridley's going to have a big game. And I think that defense will definitely fluster Washington. I think they'll get to Browning, and they'll also contain Myles Gaskin as well. 2 touchdown favorite. Doesn't surprise me in the least. So that's really all I can say on that. So I'm going with Alabama. Alabama wins. I'm going to go. I'll go 35-21 Alabama over Washington in this first semifinal. Gets back to the championship game yet again. The dynasty continues. MF, what says you?
I'm going to make it short, sweet, and straight to the point. 38-17, Alabama knocks off Washington, and they move on to Raymond James Stadium on January 9th to play for the national championship. Let's get into the second one.
Second semifinal matchup. The Fiesta Bowl, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. 7 Eastern on ESPN. The number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes against the number 2 Clemson Tigers. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Samantha Ponder. I'm pretty sure they'll have Tom Rinaldi there too. And Ohio State opening up as a 3 to 3.5 point favorite in this semifinal matchup. When Clemson and Ohio State meet in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve, they will ring in the new and the old. The 3-year-old FBS National Championship playoff format is neither the Ohio State Open nor the Clemson Invitational, but it has skewed that way. Number 3 Ohio State won the inaugural 14 playoff in 2014, and number 2 Clemson lost a heartbreaker in the championship game at the same University of Phoenix Stadium last season when quarterback Deshaun Watson shredded Alabama for 478 yards, 405 passing, and a 45-40 loss, outplaying Heisman Trophy winner Derrick Henry in the process. Like Clark Griswold and Mistletoe, Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama have become staples of the reconstituted Holiday Final Four. The Fiesta winner will advance to the title game on January 9th. Clemson lost once this year to a Pitt team that loaded the box with 7 and sometimes 8 defenders in order to contain the running game and force Watson to throw. It worked, even as Watson completed 52 of 70 passes for 580 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Pitt stopped a 4th and 1 run in the final 90 seconds and drove for a game-winning field goal and a 43-42 victory on November 12th. Ohio State's only loss came when Penn State blocked a punt and a field goal in the fourth quarter, returning the blocked field goal for a touchdown in a 24-21 comeback victory on October 22nd. Each survived other scares. North Carolina State missed a potential game-winning field goal on the final play of regulation before the Tigers won in overtime. They scored 17 fourth-quarter points to beat Florida State by 3, and Carter Tankersley's late interception sealed the victory over Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game. The Buckeyes beat Wisconsin in overtime, and linebacker Vince Worley intercepted a 2-point conversion attempt and a 1-point victory over Michigan State. In the final game of the regular season, the Buckeyes made a field goal as time expired before Curtis Samuel scored on a 15-yard run for a 30-27 double overtime victory over Michigan, one play after a controversial spot on 4th down. Deshaun Watson, a junior who is expected to declare for the NFL draft, orchestrates a Clemson offense that averages 505.7 yards and 40.2 points a game. He threw for 3,914 yards and 37 touchdowns, while rushing for 526 yards and 6 more scores. He trails only Phillip Rivers and former Tigers quarterback Tajh Boyd in total offense in ACC history. Junior halfback Wayne Gallman, who confirmed he will enter the draft, rushed for 1,002 yards and 15 touchdowns. Junior Mike Williams, another early NFL entry, leads a talented receiving corps with 84 receptions for 1,171 yards and 10 touchdowns. He is projected to be the first wide receiver taken in the draft. Quarterback J.T. Barrett, running back Mike Weber, and athletic runner/receiver Samuel helped Ohio State average 480 yards and 40.2 points a game. Junior Barrett has passed for 2,428 yards and 24 touchdowns and rushed for 847 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is 26-3 as a starter. Clemson safety Jadar Johnson, who batted down a pass in the end zone to seal a 19-13 victory over Auburn in the first week of the season, created a small stir with his critique of Barrett this week. And he said that they played quarterbacks better than him. I'm not taking anything away from him. I don't think he is a bad player. He's definitely a good player, but he does not stand out as one of the best quarterbacks that we have played this year. Sounds like fighting words to me. The teams last played 3 years ago when Clemson won 40-35 in the Orange Bowl following the 2013 season. Taj Boyd had 505 yards of total offense, and Buckeyes quarterback Braxton Miller threw for 224. Clemson ended the bowl season with 46 sacks, second in Division I. It is led by 6'3", 305-pound defensive tackle Carlos Watkins, who had 8.5, while 6'4", 310-pound tackle Christian Wilkins had 3.5. The Buckeyes have had trouble with pass protection recently, giving up 11 sacks in their final 2 games, 8 against Michigan and 3 to Michigan State. They often keep an extra blocker to help Barrett. Of the two playoff semifinal games, there's no question. I think this one's going to be the more entertaining and more competitive of the two. I think this has potential to be a 5-star classic, chock full of Shakespearean drama, and that's exactly what you want on a night like New Year's Eve. No question about that. And I like both of these teams. I really do. It's very tough to call. But if I'm going to be real honest with you, I got to go with Ohio State to win it. I just got this feeling about Ohio State right now. I mean, with JT Barrett, I mean, especially the Michigan game. I mean, they rebounded nicely after that Penn State game. We saw Clemson going up against Alabama last year. They came up short. You know they'll give Ohio State major fits, but I just don't see them coming out. I mean, I know Michael Fletcher thinks they're ready for prime time, and I understand that, but until I see them beat, that major powerhouse team, and especially after what that Clemson defender said about JT Barrett, that's going to light a fire under Ohio State, and especially JT Barrett. So Barrett, Weber, Samuel will all have big games for Ohio State. Watson, Gallman, and the rest of that crew, they'll all have big games as well. This is going to be a 5-star game. There's going to be Shakespearean drama at its finest. But at the end of the day, though, I got to go Holy Buckeye here. So Ohio State is my pick to win. I like this one. My final score, I got to go 38-35 Ohio State over Clemson in what I think will be a phenomenal semifinal matchup. So nothing left for me to say here. Michael Fletcher, you're not a big Ohio. We know how you feel about Ohio State. We'll just leave it at that. But Clemson, of course, because you're a Michigan guy. But you have been so high on Clemson the last 2 years. Something has to give here.
Yep.
Do you go with your most hated rival, or do you go with the team that you've been high on the last 2 years, other than your team, of course?
No, I what was the thing I said at the beginning of the year, Anthony Florio? I said that I believe that not only did Clemson was going to go back to the college football playoff, but I said they were going to win. They were going to win it all. They were going to win the national championship. Do you honestly think I'm going to back down from my prediction from way back in September? Absolutely not. This is the call. I'm sticking by it, and come heck or high water, I am going to ride or die with this decision. I'm going with Clemson to win, to move on to the final 35-31.
Man, this is a tough one right here. Do I go with Ohio State or Clemson? But yeah, this is tough. But I think, to be quite honest, I think after the way Clemson called out JT Barrett, I think Barrett's gonna have a really big game. I think they're gonna play tough. I mean, this will be a close one, no doubt about it. But I'm sorry, I got to go with Ohio State to win this one. It's going to be a close one, but I got Ohio State winning. My final score, I'm going to say 28-24. Ohio State beats Clemson, moves on to the national championship game to play Alabama. So, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say. You pretty much touched on everything. So, that being said, Florio, let's move on to the final week of the National Football League regular season.
And what I think we should do here, guys, what we're gonna do.
I think we should only go into full detail with the games that are going to have some playoff implications for those that are still, like when it comes to seedings or division titles, still yet to be clinched.
Yes, Bullock. But what I was also going to say was we're gonna do right here and now. First things first. I just want to get out of the way said games that do not have playoff implications whatsoever. If that's okay with you guys. So
yeah,
I think that's what we should do, and I think that's what we're going to do. So just let me just look it over and go into the games that have no implications whatsoever when it comes to playoffs, to non-playoffs, and the whole 9 yards, in no particular order. First such game we're going to get into, it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals at Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati. It's going to be Carter Blackburn and Chris Sims on the call for CBS, as this game will be broadcast on CBS. And the spread favors two spreads favor the Ravens by 1. The other two have this as a pick'em game. And of course, they met earlier this year, and I do believe I think the Ravens won that game, as I recall correctly. Yeah, they did. The Ravens won that. That was back on November 27th in Baltimore. The Ravens won it 19-14. So now the series history, I do believe, favors the Ravens here. So yeah, it's now 21-20 because they were tied going in, and the Ravens, now have it 21-20. And Ravens won in Cincinnati a year ago, 33-27. Actually, no, I stand corrected. The Bengals won in Cincinnati, 24-16. Ravens last won in Cincinnati back in 2011. Bengals have won each of the last 4 meetings in Cincinnati. So Ravens and Bengals. I do believe it is. I do believe MF starts this one off. I think because I think I led off on that other semifinal in the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's Fletcher.
Yeah, it's MF. Okay, all right, MF. Well, but you know what? I think we should do. I think we should just run down the entire list of non-playoff games. But this is the first. This is the first of those games. Ravens, Bengals, MF. Ravens coming off that tough loss to Pittsburgh. We had that awesome game. So
yep.
Can they bounce back against the Bengals, or are we going to see the Bungles again here?
No, I'm pretty sure the Ravens will turn around. They'll get the job done. They'll win this game. I'm going to go with Baltimore to win it, even though I think a lot of people are really disappointed in Baltimore because, they had the game won and they just let it get away at the end. So, yeah, give me the Ravens to win it. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I got the Ravens winning this one as well. I think they're definitely going to bounce back after that tough loss to Pittsburgh on Christmas night. So, yeah, give me the Baltimore Ravens to win this one. My final score, I'm going to say 24-14. Baltimore beats Cincinnati. So, Florio, it's yours.
Neither team will be going to the playoffs, so there is that after Baltimore got eliminated as a result of their Christmas loss to the Steelers. While I don't foresee them or the Bengals, frankly, to have much motivation here, even on the road, the stronger team should still prevail. That's Baltimore, so I'm going with the Ravens to win. My final score, 21-20. So that's really all I can say on that. So with that being said, let's move on to our next non-playoff matchup, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. This game, of course, on CBS as well. And Spiro Ditas and Solomon Wilcots will be on the call for that one. I lost my my spreadsheet here. Just give me a moment. Spread favors Indianapolis by 4.5. It's a 4.5 point spread in favor of the Indianapolis Colts. They met earlier this year in London, England, and as I recall, Jacksonville won that game in London when they met. And they they did. So so the Indianapolis-Jacksonville rivalry still favors Indianapolis, but it's now 21-10 if you count that Jacksonville win in London, England earlier this year. That crazy game. I think it was like 30-27 or something like that. So I believe Michael Bullock starts it off. So Bullock, quick thought, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, even though Jacksonville's coming off a very nice win against Tennessee, knocking them out of the postseason.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make this one short and sweet since I think Indianapolis is gonna win this one. I mean, yeah, nice win by, one win by Jacksonville. I mean, it was such a big win that they knocked Tennessee out of playoff contention. So, but I really don't see them having the same success against the Colts. I got the Colts winning this one. I'm gonna say 34-17 is gonna be my final score. I think Andrew Luck's gonna have a big game. I think Frank Gore, he'll have a nice solid game on the ground. So yeah, so nothing else to say except give me the Colts to win this one. Florey, what's yours?
Yeah, right there with you. Doug Marrone trying to get the full-time gig as the head coach of the Jaguars. And, hey, he got himself a nice win last week as his team ended the hopes of the Tennessee Titans getting into the playoffs. A win here would not hurt his case to get that gig. But if Andrew Luck gets it going through the air, this is not a good matchup. So I think it will be a higher scoring game than people think. But I'm going with Indianapolis to win it. My final score, 35-27. So, MF, how about it? Fletch, Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
Fletch, are you there? Don't tell me we lost. Never mind.
No, there he is. Yeah, just a quick thought on Jacksonville and Indy.
Maybe something happened with his microphone.
Maybe it did. But if we have to move on, we'll. Oh, he's got Indy. Okay, Fletch has Indy winning, so I guess he probably had no comments. So fair enough. So let's move on to our next non-playoff implication game. We got the Chicago Bears squaring off against the Minnesota Vikings at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And they met. Now, I remember earlier this year, they met on a Monday night, and the Chicago Bears actually won that game, which surprised a lot of people, including all of us. We did not have Chicago winning that game whatsoever, but they manhandled Minnesota in that game. So that now makes the Chicago-Minnesota rivalry 57-51 with two ties in favor of the Minnesota Vikings, based on the win by the Bears in Chicago. Bears last won in Minnesota in 2011. Vikings have won the last 4 meetings there. So this game's going to be broadcast on Fox, and it'll be Dick Stockton with David Deal and Christina Pink on the call. And the spread favors the Minnesota Vikings by 6-7. So this game truly is a mess, as Minnesota had a disastrous first half against the Packers on Christmas Eve, thanks in part to some nonsense from veteran corner Terrence Newman. and never were able to recover, while the Bears look rather lost against Washington at home. Unless we see some more shenanigans from that Minnesota secondary, I think that defense will look a little better here at home and get the W. So I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings to win it. My final score, I'm going to go 21-14, Minnesota. So, okay. Fletcher's mic is down, so he's going to put it in the chat box. He's got Minnesota winning, and wow, he's got it as a high scoring affair. He's got it 38-24 for Minnesota. But okay. So I have it 21-14 Minnesota. MF's got it 38-24 Minnesota. So Bullock, Chicago and Minnesota, a quick thought.
Yeah, I got the Minnesota Vikings winning this well. I mean, yeah, I think they'll get a nice win to close out the year. I think we'll get a good game from Sam Bradford, Kyle Rudolph, and Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I mean, because it's a divisional matchup, I think this could be a close one. So because of that, I got Minnesota winning it as well. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to our next non-playoff matchup.
And that will be my team, the Buffalo Bills, squaring off against the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands. This game on CBS, and it will be Andrew Catalon with Steve Berline and Steve Tasker. They will be on the call for Bills and Jets, and the spread favors the Buffalo Bills by 3.5, and they met earlier this year, week number 2. They met in Buffalo on a Thursday night, a wild Thursday night game, and it was the Jets who came away with the win. Very high scoring affair, and that now makes the Bills-Jets rivalry 59-52 in favor of Buffalo. It snapped a 5-game losing streak for the Jets against the Bills. Jets haven't beaten the Bills at home since 2013, 27-20, but the Bills have won each of the last 2 years in the Meadowlands. So MF, yeah, you got Buffalo win. Okay, you got Buffalo winning. Buffalo wins big. Okay, that's understandable. So Michael Bullock, Bills and Jets, a quick thought.
Yeah, I got Buffalo winning big as well. I mean, let's just face it, that Jets team is just an absolute mess right now. And yeah, I mean, Buffalo's going to be, I'm sure they're going to be playing hard for their interim coach. Of course, replacing Rex Ryan. Of course, I'm pretty sure that that put a big smile on your face, Florio, knowing that the Ryan brothers are gone.
Yes, amen to that.
And hopefully they find a coach that'll bring this team back to where they're supposed to be. But we'll wait and see on that. But Buffalo wins this one, gets a nice win to close out the season. So with that being said, Florio, I give it to you.
Rex Ryan failed again as he got axed along with his brother Rob this past Monday, which will leave Anthony Lynn as the interim coach. Lynn has a strong reputation and may just land the permanent gig in his own right. And if he gets the Bills to pull off a nice win here in the Meadowlands, which I think they will, that should help his case. It also doesn't hurt their cause that the Jets have completely given up on the season. See their game from last week against Bullock's Patriots, when Bullock's Patriots absolutely smashed them 41-3 in Foxborough. So nothing left for me to
squashed
say.
Them.
Yeah, that was a combination of a Braun Strowman and Nia Jax squash. That's what that was.
That was both of them combined.
Yep. But I got the Buffalo Bills winning as well. This is one of my locks of the week. Buffalo wins it. My final score 28-10. Buffalo wins. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to our next non-playoff matchup of this week. And even though this team is a playoff team, this game does not have any implications whatsoever. It's the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. This game's on Fox, and on the call for Fox, it'll be Kevin Burkhardt with John Lynch and Pam Oliver. And spread favors the Philadelphia Eagles, 3.5 to 4 points. Of course, as you know, the Dallas Cowboys have everything wrapped up. They're 13-2, and they have everything wrapped up. They wrapped up the division. They got the bye. They got the number 1 seed. Everything is all wrapped up. So yeah, Michael Fletcher's MF's going with the Philadelphia Eagles for the upset. So I believe Michael Bullock starts it off here. So Bullock, Dallas, Philly. Dallas has everything wrapped up. This technically counts as a non-playoff matchup because there's no implications here. Philly's out. Dallas has everything wrapped up, but MF has Philadelphia winning. Do you agree with that?
You know what? I'm actually going to go with Philadelphia winning this one because, I mean, let's be quite honest. I think Dallas is probably going to be, well, some of their players, I mean, the regulars won't be playing a lot. I mean, I heard, yeah, Dak Prescott will only play a little bit, and then you'll probably see Mark Sanchez in there, and even Tony Romo's not going to play in this one. So, yeah, you probably won't see Ezekiel Elliott a lot, and same thing with Dez Bryant. You'll probably see a lot of the bench guys come out. So, yeah, I got Philadelphia winning this one, but like I said, I think the Dallas Cowboys could care less because they basically have everything all wrapped up. So, Floyer, what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, they met earlier this season. They met 2 months ago, back on October 30. They met in Dallas, and the Cowboys won that. They won that one 29-23 in overtime. Another wild affair between those two. It was Dallas who picked up the win, and now that makes the Dallas-Philadelphia rivalry 62-49 in favor of Dallas, counting that win from earlier this season. I forgot to mention that. So it is not often where a 6-9 team is favored over a 13-2 team, but that will be the case this Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. Why? Well, that happens when you have a team in the Cowboys that has already clinched the top seed in the NFC and has nothing to play for. Philadelphia showed some spunk defensively this past last Thursday against the Giants, and I think you will see them close the season very well here. So I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning this one as well. I'll agree with you guys. 20-17, Philadelphia over Dallas. And even though this is a game that has no implication whatsoever, I think this could be one of the better games when it comes to the non-playoff implication games. So 2017, Philly wins, and that's really all I can say. So, all right. So let's see what else. We do have. I think we have one more non-playoff implication game to get into here, as it will be the Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. Fox will have that game, and it'll be Chris Myers with Rondé Barber and Jennifer Hale. They'll be on the call for that one, and Arizona, a 6 to 7 point favorite against the Rams in the Coliseum. And
Mike, chat.
These two teams met earlier this year, and they met, I believe, in Arizona. And believe it or not, the Los Angeles Rams actually pulled the upset 17-13 in Arizona back on October the 2nd. And that takes the Arizona LA rivalry, when it comes to who leads at all time, it's now 37-36 with 2 ties in favor of Arizona. And I believe this will be the first time they've ever met in Los Angeles. I think they met in well, actually, no, they met in Los Angeles before. Last time was in 1994, and the Rams won it 14-12, and the Cardinals last won in LA in 92. So let me see. All right. MF came in and out, but I think he's got his mic back up and running, and that's good because I really want to get his thoughts on those playoff implication games. But
Yep.
But before we get to UMF, I believe I was going to start it off anyway. As far as the Arizona LA game goes, after losing at home to the 49ers of all teams, the Rams have just about turned into a dumpster fire at this point and really cannot wait to hit the offseason and to start their coaching search. Cardinals, for their part, have been one of the bigger disappointments in the league, but they also still look like a competent team on the field. So I'm going with Arizona to win it, 33-19. So MF, Arizona and Los Angeles, a quick thought, if your mic's back up and running.
Mic check. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, guys. Good. Cool. Good. The way I feel about this game is going to be an interesting matchup, no doubt about it. But I just don't see how on earth you can think that this game's going to be anything better. I mean, the Rams has been an absolute dud of a team. I think they're going to lose, so I'm not going to waste too much of your time. Mike Bullock, is yours.
I got Arizona winning this one. I'm gonna say 34-14 is gonna be my final score on this one. Carson Palmer, big game. Larry Fitzgerald, big game. David Johnson, big game. So really nothing more to say. Flory, what's yours?
All right. And now we're going to move on to the games that have playoff implications, and we'll try to do it the best we can. And as far as chronological order is concerned, I think we pretty much covered all the non-playoff implication games. All these other games either have seeding or what have you on the line here. So, and it's only fitting we started off with the Buddy Bowl, or as I call it, or as in this case, we're going to call it the Anthony Florio, Michael Fletcher game of the week right here. The New England Patriots squaring off against the Miami Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. Games on CBS, and of course we'll have it on our CBS affiliate, WPRI 12. And Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, and Evan Washburn will be on the call for that one. And the spread favors, the New England Patriots, 9 to 10.5 point favorites, if you can believe that. I think that's a little disrespectful, if I'm being real honest with you, but I think it's probably because of the quarterback situation from Miami, because Tannehill's still out. So that's probably the only reason why they have New England as such a high favorite. So I do believe it's MF who starts it off. So Michael Fletcher is, of course, as you know, the Phil Simms to my Jim Nance. That's well documented. So MF, our regular season finale. What a way for us to close out the regular season here. A rivalry game that, we've called so many times over the years. Patriots and Dolphins, whether it was you on the lead or me on the lead, it doesn't matter. We've had a lot of Pats Dolphins games over the years, and of course New England. They're playing for everything. They're playing for that number one seed. If they win, they get it. Of course, if Miami wins, it could definitely help their cause when it comes to seeding. So, a lot on the line in this latest Pats Dolphins game, which I think could be one of the better games we've seen in a long time.
No doubt about it. But Anthony, it just basically depends on what type of team we're going to get. Is New England satisfied with being a number one seed? Could they want to be number two? Easier path to the Super Bowl? Or even for the Miami Dolphins, where do they stand? They are locked in at number 6. Do they get greedy? Do they try to go for the number 5 seed? Basically, there's two scenarios. Both teams have something to play for. For New England to get home field throughout the playoffs, basically it's pretty simple. Win against the Dolphins, or just have the Raiders lose to Denver, which is very possible. We'll get into that in a little bit. For Miami, basically it's if you win over New England and Kansas City would have to lose to San Diego, you get the number 5 seed. You would play Houston in the first round on Wild Card Weekend. If not, you end up playing Pittsburgh on Wild Card Weekend. So, I mean, it can go either way. It really depends on what type of team Miami is going to look for, because that's the main thing. It doesn't look like Ryan Tannehill's going to play. Jay Ajayi did suffer a shoulder injury last week against Buffalo. Are they going to play him? Are they not going to play him? Adam Gase is saying he's a go, so he is going. That's very good for the Dolphins. It's just, what type of a team are we going to get? I don't know. And normally, New England doesn't do good in Miami, as many Patriot fans may begrudgingly must realize. Tom Brady is 6-8 goes against Miami in Miami, and New England has lost the last 3 games in either at the Hard Rock Stadium or when it was called Pro Player, or Dolphin Stadium, whatever you want to call it. The Dolphins have won the last 3 meetings in South Beach. So, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. We're going to know real early how this game is going to play out. If Miami comes out aggressive, if New England, it really depends on what type of a team we're going to look at. And that's the real question. Is New England going to go full bore? If they go full bore, I think they could beat the Dolphins. I don't think they're gonna, though. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins to win this game because I think New England might be content, because of the fact that with the Raiders, without their starting quarterback, without Carr, and plus going up against Denver, I think they might throw this game. I don't know why. I just got this weird feeling that New England is not going to be content or is not going to settle here. So I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. But at the end of the night, and we'll get into the other thing, I'll just tip my hand anyway. I think New England's going to get the number 1 seed regardless because I got Denver beating Oakland. So with that said, give me the Miami Dolphins to win this one. 21-17 is my final score. Don't expect this to be a pretty game or an amazing battle. It's going to be a little tooth and nail, a little dog fight. You saw it last year in Week 17 when the Dolphins beat the Patriots, and we saw what happened next. But I think this time around, because of the fact that with the Raiders in the situation that they're in, I think New England will get the number 1 seed regardless of this game. So give me the Dolphins to win. To you.
Yeah. Well, first off, Fletch, I gotta congratulate you and your Dolphins for making the playoffs for the first time since 2008. I guess it's been a long time coming for your team. So yeah. Basically, I mean, everybody's been asking the Patriots oh, are you gonna sit some of your players? Well, Belichick, I don't think is gonna do that, and because quite frankly, I mean, they remember what happened last season, and I mean, they had a chance to get the number 1 seed, and they pretty much blew it in those last couple of games against the Jets, and then of course the Dolphins. And I think this time around, I think he's got his team focused and to make sure that what happened last year doesn't happen again. But I'm willing to agree with Fletch. I mean, no matter what happens, I think the Patriots will end up getting the number 1 seed. Because, I mean, yeah, even though we haven't talked about the game yet, but I'm also got Denver beating Oakland because of the whole quarterback situation. But for this game right here, I got the Patriots winning this one. I still think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to say 24-17. Patriots win. I think Tom Brady will have a solid game. We'll get some blunt force trauma with LeGarrette Blount. Maybe we'll see some of James White and Dion Lewis as well. I think you also get some big plays from Julian Edelman. So, yeah, so give me the New England Patriots to win this one. 24-17 is my final. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, just had to set up something real quick. Both clubs will be in the postseason, but still have something on the line here, as the Patriots have yet to lock down the top seed in the AFC, while the Dolphins are playing for playoff position as well. The former seems more like a motivation to me, to be quite frank, and behind yet another strong performance from Tom Brady, I got to go with the New England Patriots to win this one. I'm sorry to say. So I'm going with New England, 34-27. I think it's going to be a very exciting game, though. I did forget to mention Miami leads the all-time series with New England 52-47. They met earlier this year in week 2. New England won that one barely, 31-24 back on September 18th. That was back in week 2 in Foxborough. Patriots won that. But here's the interesting thing. The Miami Dolphins have won each of the last 3 meetings in Miami. So that definitely does bode well for the Dolphins. I could see why Fletcher would go with the Dolphins there. New England will be looking for their first win in Miami since 2012. That was a 23-16 win for the Pats 4 years ago. But I got a feeling they're going to get it here. I mean, because, they're playing for that number 1 seed. They want that number 1 seed, and I think they can get it, and I think they will get it. I do think Brady's going to have a huge game here, along with the usual suspects, LeGarrette Blount and Julian Edelman and Martellus Bennett. Malcolm Mitchell should have a solid game. And Matt Moore, he's played well for the Dolphins. I will admit it. He had an easy game against the Jets. Buffalo gave them all they could handle last week in that wild and crazy game in the rain in Buffalo. But it was the Miami Dolphins who won it 34-31 in overtime. Couple of miscue calls, honestly. Buffalo called a timeout on that game-tying field goal attempt. The refs missed it. They were blind as bats, and they missed it. And the shoddy officiating definitely benefited Miami in that, with all due respect. But, it is what it is. So, I don't know how they missed that timeout, but they missed it. Stupid idiot muttonhead ref, but, it is what it is. So, but nonetheless, I do think Matt Moore will play well again. Ajayi should play well, and the receiving core with Stills and Landry and Parker. It's going to be a great game, but I ultimately think New England's going to win it. So I'm going to go 34-27 in favor of the New England Patriots. So with that said, let's move on. I think this is a game that I think should have been in our non-playoff implication category. I'm not sure, but the Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think Pittsburgh is playing for seeding because I think they're only a game ahead of Houston for that number 3 spot. They're 10-5 and Houston is 9-6. And
actually, Florio, they're actually already locked into the number 3 seed.
Oh, okay. So they should have been in our non-playoff.
They can't go up or they can't go down.
Pittsburgh and Houston are already locked up in their spots.
Yeah, because for Pittsburgh, the reason why is they got a better conference record than Houston. Therefore, Pittsburgh, even though if it comes to identical records, which is possible, Pittsburgh will get the number 3 regardless.
All right, so I think I know which 2 games we should get into next. So, the Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers on CBS. Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon will be there at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and spread favors Pittsburgh 5.5-7. And as I recall, they met earlier this year, and the Steelers, I am almost certain, won that one. So, of course, because the Browns only won their first game this past week. So, I believe it's Bullock who starts it off. Yeah, Pittsburgh won it 24-9. That was back on November 20th. So, if you look at the history of the Browns-Steelers rivalry, counting that game that Pittsburgh won, and I'm almost certain the Steelers are far and away ahead in this rivalry. I do apologize for that little botcheroo there. So many games to keep track of. It's now 69-58 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh in 13 years. It was 2003. That's the last time. I'm pretty sure that's the last time they've won in Pittsburgh. So, Bullock, they're not going to do it again, are they?
Yeah, I got Pittsburgh winning this one. I'm not going to get into any further details. My final score, I'm going to say, is 21-0. It's going to be my final score. Florio, it's yours.
Hey, Cleveland won. The Browns cranked down a nice home win over the Chargers to spare their fan base of a hideous 0-6.
Freaking do.
Yes. Browns cranked down a nice home win over the Chargers to spare their fan base of a hideous 0-16 season, which may have gotten Hugh Jackson fired. And considering I do think he's a good coach, that would have been tough to watch. And considering they get to visit the hated Steelers, could we see another upset? No. Not going to happen. My final score, 31-21, Pittsburgh over Cleveland. Easy win for Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm not going to ask MF because he put it in the chat box. He's got Pittsburgh winning, so.
And to be quite honest, Florio, for them to fire Hugh Jackson after just one season, I think would be unfair.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they just couldn't put a good team together for him.
I agree. I mean,
if they fire him after just one season, I think it would be ridiculous. I mean, that's just how I feel.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it because, you have a culture over there, and look, you don't want it to be as that bad as it was. And, sometimes a good reset needs to happen. And don't get me wrong, Hugh Jackson is a very good coach, no doubt about it. He had a lot of success with the Raiders back in the day. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. But the thing is that if you really look at what Pittsburgh's going to do, there's going to be no Le'Veon Bell, no Ben Roethlisberger. Antonio Brown is not playing. They're benching a lot of their starters, so you're getting a lot of second and third stringers. It's going to be more for pride than anything else. So I think it's going to be closer than what the experts have it. But Pittsburgh is just going to win because they're a far more superior team. But this is just one of those games where maybe it could be like a 27-21, something like that. But Steelers should win easily.
All right. Let's get into what will now be our final non-playoff implication game. The Houston Texans against the Tennessee Titans. You guys said Houston is locked into that number 4 spot. So, and Tennessee is out, of course, because of that horrible loss to Jacksonville. I mean, unbelievably horrible loss to Jacksonville. That game will be on CBS, Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Tom McCarthy and Adam Archuleta will have it. And spread favors the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee, a 3-point favorite against Houston. And let me see here. They met earlier this season, back on October 2nd in Houston, and the Texans won it 27-20. So they've cut Tennessee's series lead all time. I think it's now 15-14 in favor of. Yes, it is. It's now 15-14 in favor of the Tennessee Titans, and Houston won in Tennessee last year, 34-6, and Titans have not beaten Houston at home since 2013, so not that long ago. So let me see. All right. So I'm trying to really think here. Who started on the last one? Do you guys remember who started on that on our last matchup?
I did.
With, you did. So I started off then. Okay. Okay. My thoughts on Houston, Tennessee. Tennessee's playoff hopes died on Sunday in a tough loss to the Jaguars, but even more importantly, saw their budding young quarterback Marcus Mariota fracturing his right fibula, which has resulted in him needing surgery. One hopes that he is able to have a successful recovery ahead of next season, but in the meantime, they will have to start Matt Castle. Oy. Yeah, this is not going to be a pretty game at all. but I got the Houston Texans winning it. My final score 13-10. I'm not going to go into any further detail. Houston and Tennessee. Houston, of course, winning the division in a very sloppy game against Cincinnati on Christmas Eve night. So this is going to be a sloppy game, I'm sure. And of course, with Mariota out. So Houston, Tennessee, a quick thought.
But the thing is that from what I'm hearing, a lot of the Texans are not going to play in this game as well. So this actually could give the Titans an opportunity. Matt Castle is a good quarterback. Remember, he used to be a starter in the NFL as well. So I disagree. I'm going to give this to the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to call for the upset here. I think Tennessee is going to get the job done. I think they'll win it, all because I think Houston's going to be resting starters. They're not going to play them. They're not playing all their guys for the full game. So yeah, give me the Tennessee Titans to win this one. 23-20 is my score. So Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm actually gonna go with the Tennessee Titans as well. I mean, they got a lot of pride to play for. I mean, especially now that they're out of the playoff contention, and Houston's definitely gonna be resting some starters. Now that they're pretty much locked in at where they are. So yeah, so give me Tennessee to win this one. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say except Florio, let's move on.
And now our remaining games, I believe, all should have playoff implications. Now I think I've gotten all of the non-implications out of the way. So let's move on to this matchup here. And it's also our final, should be our final 1:00 game as well. Yes, it is. The Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. This game will be broadcast on Fox, and Tom Brenneman, Charles Davis, Chris Spielman, and Peter Schrager will be on the call for that one. And the spread favors the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4 to 4.5. And they met earlier this season in Charlotte, back on a Monday night on October the 10th, and back on Columbus Day night. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came away with the win, 17-14. And Tampa Bay won it on a last-second field goal, as I recall. And I believe the series history now favors. It favors, I believe, Carolina. Yes, it still favors Carolina, even with the loss. It's now 20-12 in favor of the Carolina Panthers. So, MF, we started off with you. We know Carolina's out, but believe it or not, Tampa Bay needs a hell of a lot of help, and I have never seen so many scenarios where Tampa Bay would need so much help to get in. You know how much help they need, folks? They even need help on the AFC side of things. What? Really?
It is the equivalent of the inside straight if you're a poker fan, because you need a junk load of help. Number one, you need a Tampa win, a tie from Washington, a Green Bay loss, a Tennessee victory, an Indy win, a Cowboys win, and a 49ers win. You get all that to happen, Tampa Bay, you're in the playoffs. Good luck with that. The reason why all that would happen is because that would be a strength of victory tiebreaker over Green Bay. We'll get into Green Bay because they got a lot riding on their game later on. But just for the sake of it, I got Tampa winning. I think Tampa's going to get the job done. I think they're going to win this game. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, I give it to you.
What's the matchup we're talking about here?
Tampa Bay and Carolina.
All right. I had to step out for a minute. So yeah. I got Tampa Bay winning this one as well. I mean, yeah, they definitely have a lot to play. I mean, they're still in that playoff hunt. I mean, yeah, they need that win and definitely got to get a lot of help if they want to get in. So I got Tampa Bay winning this one. Jameis Winston is going to have a big game. Mike Evans is going to have a big game. So yeah, really nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Tampa Bay has not beaten Carolina at home since 2012. The Panthers have won each of the last 3 meetings in Tampa Bay, including last year, 37-23. So after the disappointing loss in New Orleans on Christmas Eve, the Buccaneers now need a crazy amount of help to get to the playoffs. And quite frankly, it's just not going to happen. And now Doug Martin is due to get suspended for PED usage. So this is not the way Tampa Bay wanted to close out their season. But I do think they will cap out a nice building year with a win over a flagging Carolina club. So I got Tampa Bay winning it. My final score, 24-21 in favor of the Bucs. Fire the cannons, Bucky. One last time this season. So, all right, now we move on to our next matchup with implications. We got the New Orleans, and we're not going to get into the late games now. We got the New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Atlanta Falcons in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta on Fox. Kenny Albert, Daryl Moose Johnston, Laura Oakman will be on the call for that one. And the Atlanta Falcons, 7 to 7.5 point favorites against the Saints. And they met earlier this season. They met in New Orleans, and it was the Falcons who won it on a Monday night in Week 3 back on September 26th, 45-32. A very high-scoring game, to say the very least, between those two clubs, and that now takes the Atlanta-New Orleans rivalry to now 49-45 Atlanta. Saints won in the Georgia Dome last year, 20-17. Falcons last beat them in the Dome, 2014. That was a Week 1 game. That was the 37-34 overtime shootout thriller. Atlanta, even though they've already won the NFC South, they're playing for seeding. They're playing for the number 2 seed, and they currently have the inside track to that number 2 seed. They're fighting with the Seattle Seahawks currently for that number 2 seed and that coveted first-round bye in the NFC playoffs. A simple win against New Orleans to pretty much all but guarantee Atlanta will be the number 2 seed in the NFC. So, Michael Bullock, we started off with you. Should be another high-scoring game. 2 dynamo offenses in the Georgia Dome. New Orleans has nothing to play for. Atlanta playing for the number 2 seed. Do you think? And they have the inside track to it. Do you think they get it here?
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be a high-scoring game, no doubt about it. I mean, New Orleans, they got nothing to play for, but Atlanta's got a lot to play for, and yeah, they win, they get the number 2 seed, but yeah, I got Atlanta winning this one, but this will be a high-scoring affair, no doubt about it. My final score, I'm going to say 35. I'm going to go 35-31. Atlanta wins this and clinches the number 2 seed. Matt Ryan will have a big game. Julio Jones, I think he'll have a big game as well. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So, Warrior, what's yours?
If the Falcons win here, they will get a bye and host a playoff game on the second weekend of the playoffs. Tell me you saw that scenario coming. While New Orleans has been disappointing again, they should still bring it offensively as they always do indoors. That said, they don't have that much to play for amid rumors Coach Sean Payton could be on his way out of town. And I think Atlanta's defense will do just enough to secure the win. So I agree with you, Bullock. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win it. 35-30 is actually going to be my final score in favor of Atlanta behind Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman, Taylor Gabriel, Devontae Freeman, and Julio Jones. Drew Brees and company will all have solid. We'll have big games as well. This will be a 5-star shootout, but I got to go with Atlanta here, 35-30. Give me the Falcons and to get that number 2 seed. So MF, according to your scenarios, a win in Atlanta gets that 2 spot. Am I right?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There's also another scenario where if Detroit loses and Seattle loses, that clinches. But the most important one is this: Atlanta, just win your game. If something goes wrong, then you need Seattle to lose and Detroit to lose, and that clinches that. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I'm with you guys. I believe that Atlanta will get the job done. They'll win this game. They'll get the first round bye. They'll be the number 2 seed. And it's upward and onward. So let's go. Next game.
All right. I believe we should be going back to the AFC side of things. And, oh, yeah. Number 2 game of the week in the NFC. No question. I mean, in the AFC, rather. The Oakland Raiders squaring off against the Denver Broncos. Sports Authority Field at Mile High in Denver. We're going to get this game on our CBS affiliate, WPRI 12. And on the call for this one, hello, friends. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson. They'll be in Denver for this one. And the Broncos, 1 to 1.5 point favorites, although one other spread I have has this as a pick'em game. So there's that. They met earlier this year in Oakland, and it was on a Sunday night back on November the 6th. And the Raiders won that game by a score of 30-20. MF and I covered that one. I remember that one very well. That was the game of the week we had that week. And with that Oakland win back on November the 6th on that Sunday night, that now takes the Denver-Oakland rivalry to 61-49 with 2 ties in favor of the Oakland Raiders. Oakland added to their lead. And, of course, scenario here, Denver is out. So Oakland currently controls their own destiny as the number 2 seed in the AFC. With a win, well, I know MF will get into all the scenarios in just a moment here. And MF, we are going to, and we will start it off with MF here. Michael Fletcher, come on in. Raiders, Broncos, number 2 game on our conference when it comes to our side of the ball, only behind New England and Miami. So Denver's out, but Oakland, 12-3. They control their own destiny when it comes to that number 2 seed, but they're going to have to do it without their franchise quarterback, Derek Carr, who suffered a gruesome injury in their against the Indianapolis Colts.
Horrible injury.
That's a lump of coal right there. So the big question is, can the Raiders steal one in Denver without their franchise quarterback and with Matt McGloin?
Man, I don't know. Honestly, no. I don't think so. Like I said, this was the one thing that I actually said here, and I know a lot of people, I know Raider fans are not going to like what I'm about to say, but you're not winning the division. I'm sorry. The scenarios are simple. You win or tie, or you would need Kansas City to lose or tie. And for the home field throughout the AFC, for the Raiders, you would need to win, and New England would have to lose. Those are the scenarios. But I'm sorry, guys. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I think they're going to ruin the Raiders season, even though it's been an unbelievable season. This is going to be the end of the line for them. They're going to lose. They're going to get a wild card spot. There's really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, if Derek Carr was playing, I would have the Raiders winning this one, but nah, you got Matt McGloin starting. You're not winning this one. I mean, yeah, Denver's out of the playoff, but they want to finish the season strong, especially with that defense that they have. And I'm going with the Denver Broncos to win this one. My final score is going to be 21-17. Denver beats Oakland. So, Florio, it is yours.
Denver has been sliding big league of late as they have lost 3 games in a row en route to missing the playoffs, and they looked awful on Christmas night against Kansas City. That said, they will face Oakland's backup quarterback, Matt McGloin, after Derek Carr's broken fibula in their victory over the Colts, and that feels like a bad matchup with that Broncos defense. So I got the Denver Broncos winning as well. I agree with that. 23-16 is my final score in favor of Denver, and they'll beat the Raiders at home for the first time in 2 years. As you know, Oakland won in Denver last year, 15-12, but I don't see that happening this year. No way. So only if Derek Carr was playing, then I would have gone with that, but no way that happens here. So give Denver a nice bounce back win to end their season. So 23-16, Denver wins. So and now we move to the other big game in the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the San Diego Chargers at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. The legendary Greg Gumbel and Trent Green and Jamie Erdahl, they'll be on the call in San Diego for the Chiefs and the Chargers. And the Chiefs, 5.5-point favorites across the board. And they met earlier this season in Arrowhead. It was on opening day, actually, week 1. And it was the Chiefs who came from behind to win that game, 33-27 in overtime. You remember they trailed massively in that game, and then they pulled off a humongous comeback to defeat the Chargers on opening day in Arrowhead. And with that win, it now increases their series lead over San Diego to 57-54 with a tie. And Chargers last beat the Chiefs at home in 2013, a 27-24 overtime win. Each of the last 2 years, Kansas City has gone into San Diego and beaten San Diego, including last year, a 33-3 beatdown in San Diego for the Chiefs. And Michael Bullock, we started off with you. Chargers are out, as we know. Kansas City looked amazing against the Denver Broncos on Christmas night, and now they go up against San Diego. They still have a chance to win the division, and they still have a shot at that number 2 seed. And now with the Derek Carr injury to Oakland, I think the door has opened up for Kansas City. So Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on Chiefs and Chargers. I think Kansas City's got a golden opportunity here, especially with Carr injured in Oakland.
Yeah, and what can you say? I mean, what a dominant win for them over Denver on Christmas night. And Travis Kelce, I mean, he had a really big night with 160 yards receiving. And man, and I'll say this right now, this is my sleeper team to come out of the AFC. I mean, yeah, the Patriots are the favorite, and yeah, I think they could be the team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But watch out for this team. I think this is a team nobody wants to face once the playoffs start. So yeah, I got Kansas City winning this one. My final score, I'm going to say 31-20 is going to be my final score. Alex Smith, a big game. Spencer Ware, big game. Travis Kelce will have a big game. The defense, I think, will have a solid game as well. And I think they'll definitely get that number 2 seed now. I mean, especially now with the Derek Carr injury. So yeah, so Florio, I give it to you.
In what could very well be the final home game in San Diego, I could see the Chargers coming out with some motivation in front of the home faithful. The problem is that even with that, this team has been a mess of late, and they have not won in over a month. Kansas City still has some playoff positioning to deal with, and I think that will be just enough for them to get the win. So I'm going with Kansas City to win as well. 30-20 is my final score. The usual suspects will have big games, especially my man Travis Kelce, who's been tearing it up for me as of late in fantasy, and I'm really loving his body of work. So I think Rivers and them will play well, but I just think Kansas City, they're motivated. Now that Carr's injury has surfaced, I do think the Raiders will lose to Denver. I got KC winning here, and that will give KC the AFC West and and most likely at worst the number 2 seed. MF, is there any chance of Kansas City possibly? No, Kansas City, I don't think can get the number.
No, Kansas City, this is what would happen. They would get the division title. They would get the number 2, but that would give New England the home field throughout the playoffs because at that point, because all they would need is they would need Oakland to lose. So basically, no. Even if it goes into that type of scenario, New England would actually still get the number 2 seed, would still get the number 1 seed regardless. Kansas City would get the number 2. Oakland would actually drop to the number 5 seed, and Miami would go to number 6, would remain at number 6. So think about that. We would have a and Oakland versus Houston as your wild card weekend if those scenarios do break accordingly. But for the Raiders, for Kansas City, I think this is going to happen. I think they're going to win. I think they will indeed get the number 2 seed. There's really nothing more to say, guys. So let's just move on to the next game.
3 games left, and they're all within the NFC. And we start off with our first one here: the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the San Francisco 49ers at Levi's Stadium in San Francisco on Fox. And we got Joe Davis with Brady Quinn and Shannon Spake on the call. Spread favors Seattle 9.5 to 10.5, and they met earlier this season in Seattle. And the Seahawks won big. That was back in week 3 on September 25th. That was an easy 37-18 win for the Seattle Seahawks. And now that takes their lead in the series to Seattle. Now leads the all-time series. It's now 20-15 if you count the win in Seattle this year. Seattle has won the last 2 meetings in San Francisco. Niners last beat the Seahawks at home in 2013. Of course, that was back when they were good, of course. And Seattle, they've already won their division. They're playing for seeding. They're also they're still in the running for that number 2 seed, even though they trail Atlanta by like a game or half a game or something like that. So I believe I start this one off because I think Bullock led off on the last one. So, all right. It has been a lost season for the 49ers, as just about everybody expected this season. But, hey, they did get a win last week against the Rams in the Coliseum. That said, they are facing a much stronger team in the Seahawks and one that now has to fight hard to possibly get a bye in the playoffs. Seattle's my lock of the week, 28-13. I got Seattle winning. So MF, let's bring you back in, our scenario guru here. Seattle still has a shot at that number 2 seed. How will the chips have to fall for Seattle to get that number 2 seed over Atlanta?
Well, there's two scenarios, and believe it or not, 2 of them. One scenario, Seattle can get it if they tie. Believe it or not. But here's the scenarios. The first one is if Seattle ties, then you would need Atlanta to lose, and then the Green Bay and Detroit game will have to end in a tie. Chances of all that happening, probably not going to happen. The most realistic one is this: Seattle wins, Atlanta loses, or ties. But if there's a loss or a tie, Seattle gets the number 2. They get the first round bye. And basically they would guarantee themselves a home game in that crazy, loud CenturyLink field in Seattle, and oh God, that's all I'm saying. Oh God, but no, I think they'll get the job done. I think they'll win this game easily. I mean, come on. It's the 49ers, for God's sakes. Seattle wins in a big crush. However, I don't think they're going to get the number 2 seed because remember, all of us predicted Atlanta to beat New Orleans. And for that to happen, they would need New Orleans to upset Atlanta. And unfortunately, we all don't have that happening. So, Seattle, good try. You're going to get locked into the number 3 slot. Get ready to play whoever that bottom feeding team is in Wild Card Weekend. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got the Seahawks winning this one as well. I mean, this one's not even going to be close. Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So, Flurry, what's yours?
All right, 2 games left, and they're both big ones in the NFC. Starting off with our final 425 game, it'll be the New York Giants squaring off against the Washington Redskins at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. This game's on Fox, and of course, it's America's Game of the Week, and you know who's going to be there for this one. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews. They'll be at FedEx Field for the Giants and the Redskins, and the Redskins, 7.5 to 9-point favorites against the Giants in Washington. And series history favors the New York Giants, 97 to 66 with 4 ties. They met earlier this season in the Meadowlands, and believe it or not, it was the Redskins who stole that one back in week 3 on September 25th, 29-27 in favor of Washington in the Meadowlands. And it was the first time since it was the first time, I believe, since when was the last time the Giants lost to the? Well, it was 2011. 2011 was the last time the Redskins won in the Meadowlands against the Giants. And the Redskins also won in Washington last year, 20-14. Giants' last win in Washington came in 2014 on that boring-ass Thursday night game, 45-14. So 97 to 66 with 4 ties in favor of the G-men. And I believe it's MF who starts this one off. And MF, there's nothing left to say except Giants and Redskins. I know you've got what could be a laundry list of scenarios for both teams. What are the scenarios for both of these teams? I know there's a lot for both teams.
Well, actually, for the New York Giants, there is no scenario. They are locked into the number 5 spot. They cannot go up. They cannot go down. They're locked in. For Washington, though, you can get into the playoffs with a win, and believe it or not, as long as Detroit and Green Bay does not end in a tie. This is one of the most weirdest scenarios I've ever seen in football. But as long as Green Bay and Detroit does not end in a tie, Washington will actually go through to the playoffs. That means if Green Bay or if Green Bay or Detroit, you're really scoreboard watching, you're hoping and praying. Basically, you just need Washington to lose. If you're Green Bay or if you're Green Bay or Detroit, that's because at that situation, you would save yourself the craziness of anything else. Now, there is one other scenario, which is another tie for Washington, a Green Bay loss, and Tampa to have a loss or a tie, and that's the second scenario for Washington to get into the number 6 and get into the playoffs. But the one most realistic one, beat the Giants, and then basically just no tie between Green Bay or Detroit, and you're automatically in. So that's it. So for me, because of that, I don't think the Giants are going to be playing for much. They're not using all their big names. That's why I actually do have the Washington Redskins winning this game. This should get them into the postseason. And yes, Kirk Cousins, you're going to like that as well. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Oh man, I always get a kick out of that when it comes to ever since Kirk Cousins said that. But yeah, I got the Redskins winning this one as well. I mean, I think the Giants are definitely going to be resting their starters. Because they basically have nothing to play for, and I mean they already locked up to where they are, and yeah, so. Basically, give me the Redskins to win this one. My final score is going to be 28-21. Redskins win it. So, Florio, it is yours.
Barring a key injury or otherwise, there really is not that much of an excuse for Washington to lose this game. After all, they are playing at home against a team that has, if not nothing, then just about nothing to play for. Well, all they have to do in order to get into the playoffs is win. Of course, we have seen similar situations before. See the Jets last year, albeit on the road in Buffalo. But I still think Washington will crank it out here. So I'm going with the Redskins as well, guys. I agree with you. My final score, 24-17. Washington wins behind Kirk Cousins and company. So Giants will probably rest their key guys, Eli and Odell Beckham and all those guys. So that's all there is to say on that. So 24-17, Washington wins. And now, gentlemen, the final game of the week, we're going to talk about the game with the biggest implications of them all. No question about this. This is the game of the week. You don't need a game rater for this. This is the game of the week right here. I don't care what anybody says. Sunday Night Football on NBC. The Green Bay Packers squaring off against the Detroit Lions. Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya will be there. And the spread favors the Green Bay Packers by 3 to 3.5. They met earlier this season, week 3 in Lambeau on September 25th, and it was the Green Bay Packers who won that game by a score of 34-27 to take their series history over the Lions now to 97-68 with 7 ties. Green Bay won in Detroit last year, 27-23. Lions last beat the Packers at home in 2014. That was a 19-7 win. Simple as this. NFC North division title to the winner. Michael Bullock, we started with you. The game of the week. Green Bay and Detroit on Sunday night. NFC North to the winner. Who gets it?
Yes, this is most definitely the game of the week. No doubt about it. And like you said, all it is whoever wins will become champions of the NFC North. And I mean, ever since the struggles of Green Bay, they've basically been on an absolute tear as of late. And yeah, and I mean, the Lions have played good this season, but I mean, we don't know this. Of course, we don't know how well Stafford's going to play with that thing on his hand because of the injury. So I'm going to go with the hot hand. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win this one and clinch the NFC North. My final score, I'm going to say 35-31. Green Bay wins it. Aaron Rodgers has a big game. Jordy Nelson has a big game. Devontae Adams as well. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Oh, man alive. Although this game could be for naught if Washington were to lose to the Giants earlier in the day, in which case both teams would be in. This is effectively a win-or-go-home affair, with the winner taking the division and hosting a playoff game. While Green Bay has a stake to the claim that they are the hottest team in football after winning 5 in a row, Detroit has seen their playoff hopes waver in the wake of 2 mediocre performances against strong competition in the Giants and the Cowboys. The Packers do generally play well in Detroit, and the inconsistent play of the Lions offense is some cause for concern. that being said, I do think this will be a 5-star classic. I do think there'll be some Shakespearean drama. I think it could come down to a big play at the end. But at the end of the day, I got to go with my man, the man who I call an American hero, Aaron Rodgers. Don't believe me? Look what he did against Minnesota on Christmas Eve, and that'll tell you otherwise. 28-27, Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers win this game, win the NFC North one more time. Aaron Rodgers is going to have another humongous game. There's no question about it. The only concern, of course, Randall Cobb. I know he's battling an injury. I don't think he played against Minnesota. He was inactive against Minnesota. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being inactive again. But Aaron Rodgers, man, he just finds a way to win. And, I mean, he's doing his personal best work right now. Honest to goodness, he really is. And especially that Minnesota game last week. And I don't know if it'll be as big as that game is, but I do think he's going to have another huge game here. And Stafford will play well as well, but the little finger injury is cause for concern as well. And let's face it, I said after Detroit had that big win against New Orleans, and then that easy win over Chicago, when they had that murderer's row schedule with the Giants, Dallas, and Green Bay, I said they were not going to win any of those games. So far, I'm 2 for 2 Sunday night, albeit in a very tough losing effort. I'm afraid I'm going to be 3 for 3. 28-27, Green Bay wins. 5-star game, Shakespearean drama. That's how I hope that's what we get in this game. I really do. So, with that being said, Michael Fletcher, MF, game of the week. Green Bay and Detroit for the North. What are the scenarios involved for both teams?
All right, here he goes. Detroit Lions. You win. If you win on Sunday, the division is yours. No questions asked. If you tie, you actually get the wild card, or a Washington Redskins loss, or a second tie for the Redskins. You can actually claim the number 2 seed in the NFC with a win, a Seattle loss or tie, and an Atlanta loss. Green Bay, for you, the division championship will be yours with either a win or a tie. You would get a playoff berth with a Washington loss, just straight up Washington loss. And gentlemen, you might want to sit down and take notes on this one. This is going to be long and tiresome. A Washington tie, a Tampa win, and Green Bay clinches on the strength of victory over Tampa. But please note, Green Bay clinches at least a tie in the strength of victory tiebreaker over Tampa if one of these other scenarios actually happen. The following teams would have to win, or one of the following teams would win or tie if this happens. Seattle, Houston, Jacksonville, Philadelphia. Green Bay already has a strength of schedule tiebreaker over Tampa in that case of the scenarios breakout. Got it? Good. Nothing more to say. Green Bay wins. They'll get the division championship. Nothing more at that point. So, Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
I already talked about it, so
He already started. He started it. So, all right. What's going to happen now? Try to do a quick rapid fire power rankings here. I'll say it like this. My top 5 are no brainers. No question about it when it comes to the top 5. Heck, I could even say my top 6 are no brainers. 7 to 10, that's going to be somewhat of a chore, if I'm going to be real honest. But yeah, so couple of honorable mentions. One honorable mention: the New Orleans Saints. They've won 2 in a row, but they're not quite at 500. If they were to pull a big win in Atlanta, they would definitely be in our season-ending power rankings next week when we do our final NFL power rankings, retroactive to week 17. So that's really all I can say on that. So, do I have any other honorable mentions? I don't think I do. No, I don't think I have any other honorable mentions that I know of. So, yeah. That was my only honorable mention. So that's it. So with that being said, I'm going to start it off here. Started off with my number 10, and I think this is an easy number 10 here. Okay, yep. My number 10, no doubt about it on this one. The only reason I'm keeping this team in here is because, their body work previously beforehand, but they've had a couple of tough luck losses over the last couple of weeks, and especially this past week, they're currently hanging by a thread. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my number 10, and they had a tough loss to New Orleans. Couple of back-to-back tough luck losses. They only lost 26-20 to Dallas, and they lost 31-24 to New Orleans. They play Carolina Sunday. They should win that one, and finish the season on a strong note. And they need a lot of help to get in. So number 10, Tampa Bay. So MF, how about it?
Fair enough. Tampa Bay, number 10. Bullock is yours.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my number 10 as well. So let's move on to number 9.
Number 9, this is pretty simple for me. Washington Redskins, 8-6-1. Big game if you win on Sunday. And like I said, as long as the Detroit versus Green Bay does not end in a tie, you're in the postseason. Number 9, Washington Redskins. Bullock, go.
Yeah, Washington Redskins are my number 9 as well. Flory, what's yours?
Make it unanimous. Washington Redskins, number 9. Easy win over the Chicago Bears. 41-21 looked very impressive. So that's really all I can say on that. So I'm guessing Bullock's not going to be ready with his number 8. So I guess I'll have to start it off. And okay, this is where it's going to get dicey now. Actually, no, it's not going to get dicey. Very simple. Who I have who I've got as my number 8. My number 8 is the Houston Texans. Houston Texans are my number 8. They've won 3 in a row. They won the AFC South. Mercifully, that season's over because the South was terrible this year. Let's not kid ourselves. And even though they've won 3 in a row, 9-6, Tennessee coming up in Nashville. Big question is how are they going to look with they're obviously going to be the most vulnerable team going into the playoffs along with Oakland. So that's really all I can say on that. So number 8, Houston Texans. So MF, how about it?
Agreed. Houston Texans, number 8. Bullock is yours.
Yeah, Houston Texans are my number 8 too. So on to number 7.
MF?
This one I know is not going to be a popular decision, but out of all the other teams that are remaining on the card here, there's really, it's not an easy call, but I'm going to have to do it anyway because of the fact that with all the other teams, I'm going to do it. The team that just made the playoffs, the New York Football Giants. I know they lost last week, and normally we do punish teams that normally loses, and this is actually a rarity where I have a tie here. It's the Giants and the Seahawks. They both lost last week, so I can't punish a team that loses, even though I know a lot of people would say, well, what about for Green Bay? Green Bay's won 5 in a row, and they're going to be rewarded handsomely for this. So Tough decision, not easy. Tie here. Giants, Seahawks. Bullock is yours.
Yeah. I got the Giants as my number 7 when it comes to it. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm right there with them. Cone number 7s and the same cone number 7s. MF absolutely got it right. New York Giants and Seattle Seahawks, both teams with tough luck losses. Giants losing in Philadelphia last Thursday night, and Seattle with that tough loss to Arizona on Christmas Eve. So that's really all I can say on that. So, all right. So now we move on to number 6, and I'll tell you right now, it's another tie. First, well, I don't know if this will be a popular decision, but we'll try it anyway. My co number 6 is Oakland Raiders and Miami Dolphins are my co number 6s. I had Oakland at 6 for the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to keep them there. Yeah, they beat Indianapolis and they won 33-24, but the reason is they lost Derek Carr, and next to the Houston Texans, they're going to be the most vulnerable team going into the AFC playoffs, especially with Matt McGloin as the starting quarterback. So keep an eye out for the Raiders. And my other number 6 is Michael Fletcher's Miami Dolphins. I mean, winners of 3 in a row in the postseason for the first time in 8 years, coming off of that very exciting win over the Buffalo Bills. Most exciting Dolphins-Bills games. One of the most exciting Dolphins-Bills games I've seen in years. Light years, because both teams have been so average and mediocre the last few years. And best Dolphin-Bill game I've seen in a long time. So tough one against the Patriots, but we'll see what happens. But co number 6 is Oakland Raiders, Miami Dolphins. MF, popular decision or not?
I agree with it. I know a lot of people think that Miami should be top 5. But I could see them on the fringe of top 5. So no argument here. So Raiders and Dolphins number 6. Agreed. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, of course, getting back to my number 7, of course, I forgot to add the Seahawks in there. So Giants and Seahawks are my number 7. As far as the number 6, I agree. Raiders and Dolphins. Let's move on to the top 5.
I'm guessing you're not ready, Bullock. So
To me, this is really easy, Anthony.
what you got?
Number 5. I gotta do it. Sorry, I'm gonna anger a few people here. Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, look, 11-4, great record. You've done a bang up job, but you want to talk about hot teams? Sorry, you're not it. Number 5, Kansas City. Bullock is yours.
I agree. The Kansas City Chiefs are my number 5. I mean, what really hurt them? I mean, yeah, they did win against Denver, but that loss to Tennessee is the one that really hurts it too. So Kansas City is my number 5. Florio, it's yours.
I have a tie at number 5. Kansas City is one of them. I agree with you. My other number 5 is the Atlanta Falcons. 3 in a row, 10-5. You guys already touched on KC. They had that big win against Denver on Christmas night. Looked very impressive. Falcons, my other number 5. They won the South. Easy win over Carolina, but it was Carolina. Carolina's not any good this time around. And the other wins were also against LA and San Francisco, but yeah, they were decisive, so I can understand why they should be higher. But New Orleans coming in, tough game, but we'll see what happens. So, but the other 4 teams I have, I feel are just a smidgen better than Atlanta is. So co-number 5's Kansas City Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons. So now we move on to number 4, and my number 4. No question about it, is the Green Bay Packers. I mean, winners of 5 in a row, 9-6, tied with the Detroit Lions for the NFC North. They got a chance to win it Sunday night, which I think they will. Winners of 5 in a row. This coming after they had lost 4 in a row. They won in Philadelphia, home against Houston, home against Seattle, tough one in Chicago, and then that nice win against Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers has been playing out of his mind lately. You could definitely make an argument for him for NFL MVP with what he's been doing. So, no question about it. My number 4, Green Bay Packers. MF, agree or disagree?
Oh man, Anthony, I hate to do this to you. I thoroughly disagree. Thoroughly disagree with you. As a matter of fact, not only do I have Green Bay in my top 3, I got them in my top 2. That's how high I got them.
Fair enough.
No, I disagree here. My number 4 is, I want to make sure I'm right. I gotta do it. I just feel. Oh boy! Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Do I want to go that route? Let me see. Hold on. Because we're going for number 4, right?
Yeah.
I didn't say Atlanta yet, did I?
I don't think so.
All right. Then I'll go with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm gonna say they're my number 4. So nothing more to say. Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I got the Atlanta Falcons as my number 4 as well. So there's really nothing more to say except, Florio, I give it to you.
I already gave you my number 4. It's the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
So now we go to the top 3. MF, do you have your number 3 ready to go?
Dallas Cowboys, number 3. I know I'm gonna shock a few people here, but when you got winners of 2 in a row, you got practically everything wrapped up. You're the number 1 team in the entire thing. But here's the factor, and here's the problem. 3 teams have been so red hot lately. You're not gonna believe what I'm about to do, but I'm leaving it there. Nothing more. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Actually, this is where I have the Green Bay Packers as my number 3. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you.
It's very tough. I'm going to be real honest. I mean, because last week in the power rankings, I had the Dallas Cowboys at number 2 and the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 3. And, Pittsburgh barely gets by Baltimore and wins the division, whereas Dallas flexed their muscle against Detroit. And I know Pittsburgh should be number 2 because of their hot streak and the whole 9 yards, but I have to go on the week-to-week basis, and they barely got by Baltimore. I mean, they almost lost to Baltimore, whereas Dallas had no trouble with Detroit. I mean, they had trouble a little them early, but then they pulled away. So, and they flexed the muscles. So it's very tough, and I know I'm going to get if I get chastised for this, I don't care. My opinion. Pittsburgh Steelers are still my number 3 because they almost lost to Baltimore on Christmas. But they still got it done. They won 6 in a row. They won the division. They got Cleveland coming in. Should be an easy win. So yeah, I mean, another division title for them. They're locked into the 3 spot, and yeah, I think this team will definitely make some noise in the AFC playoffs upcoming. So that's that. Pittsburgh Steelers are number 3. I don't know if Bullock's ready to possibly do number 2. Are you?
Yeah,
Bullock?
I am ready.
Who you got?
Yeah. Well, first off, I forgot to mention that I also have Pittsburgh as my number 3. Number 2, I still have to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know they played it tough, but still, I like their body of work from what I've seen. So, nothing else to say. Florio, what's yours?
I agree with you, Bullock. Dallas Cowboys are my number two because of their previous body of work. They had that tough loss to the Giants, but before that, they were beating people and taking names, and and they barely got by Tampa. I understand, but this past Monday night, I mean, they flexed the muscle. They got the a 42-21 beat down to the Lions on Monday night, and they're now locked into that number one spot. They have everything wrapped up, so they can go for it. They can get a franchise record 14th win if they beat Philadelphia, but I'm not sure they can do that, especially since they're going to be sitting all their guys, and Philly's going to have motivation. So that's really it. So Dallas Cowboys number two. I know it's a disagreement, MF, but who's your number two anyway?
I'm about to shock a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, really? At number two? Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry. 5 in a row. You're the hottest team in the football, the team that maybe nobody wants to see in the NFC playoffs. And a lot of people, I think, are hoping and praying that they don't make it. Because if they get in, they're going to be a tough out. I'm telling you right now. That's just my feeling about it. Like I said, that's it. On to number one.
And I believe I started off, so yeah, there's absolutely no question about this. I think we're all going to be in agreement on this. Number one, yet again, the New England Patriots, winners of 6 in a row, 13-2, absolutely pounded, manhandled the New York Jets, 41-3 on Christmas Eve. I mean, they're looking like the team to beat in the AFC. It's very likely that the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC will once again go through Foxborough, Massachusetts. Their last loss came on November 13th on that tough luck Sunday night against the Seattle Seahawks. But since then, they've beaten the Niners, they've beaten the Jets and the Rams. I mean, I know those three teams are not appealing, but the last two especially, tough win. They beat the Ravens, and the Broncos, and now the Jets again. And they got a very tough game against Miami, a place they have not won since 2012. So done, and they have the inside track to the number one seed in the AFC, and it looks like, barring anything out of the ordinary, they should have the number one seed in the AFC yet again. So, but for at least this week, once again, the New England Patriots number one, like it or not. So, MF, confirm it.
No, I confirm that, yes, New England is number one. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers are also number one. For the first time ever in my power rankings, I've never had this ever happen before. Co-number ones. And yes, I am holding that divisional win, the divisional championship win over the Baltimore Ravens as really high stock. And on top of that, when you win 6 in a row as well, that's a very impressive victory. Go figure. 6 wins in a row, and now look at where Pittsburgh is. So I kind of agree with you, Florio, but this is one of the rare times, and I don't think I've never done this before. Co-number ones in my power rankings. Bullock can end it tonight.
Yeah, Patriots number one. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say except let's put a bow on this edition of Strictly Sports.
Put the bow on this very special and long edition of Strictly Sports. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in to this very special edition of Strictly Sports. And it's been an honor to bring you another wonderful year of Strictly Sports in 2016, and we look forward to doing it again for you once again in 2017. And normally we do this on Friday nights, but because of special events, because of a very special event tomorrow night, we are not going to be doing a show. So that's it. So we're gonna wrap it up with our shout out to Michael Bullock. You started off.
All right. Of course, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in for another edition of Strictly Sports, and for tuning in all season long, especially for Strictly Sports NFL Friday. Of course, shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or Ridiculously Raw or the Cerebral Smack Talk. Of course, shout outs to our super fan and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson. And of course, to Kevin Woodson and the rest of the Woodson family. And of course, to our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hixenbaugh. And of course, to all of our, to all of our friends from our high school days, Al Britterson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza. The First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaisa Butler, and to Megan Silva. And of course, to Derek Ferreira, and of course, our local personalities from 6, 10, and 12, and our national personalities from ESPN, Fox Sports, Major MLB Network, NFL Network, NBA TV, NHL Network, all the other great networks out there, and of course, to Status Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick, and of course, our friends from the Road Show, of course, the three current people, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, Michaela Johnson, and of course, to the former co-hosts, Mary Larson and Megan Mooney. And of course, I want to take this opportunity to wish all of you people out there a very safe, happy, and healthy new year. Of course, I want to wish my compadres here, of course, Mike Fletcher, I know he already left, but also to you, Anthony Florio, a happy new year to you and to your family as well. And of course, stay safe for everybody who's going to be out there New Year's Eve. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Celebrate the right way. And yeah, so that's basically going to do it. So until Monday night for the first Ridiculously Raw of 2017, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Porch of Force style. Bye for now, and Happy New Year, everybody. So, Florio, take us home.
Will do, Bullock, and great words as always. Well said. So, yeah, special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. Special shout out to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and her family. Best wishes to them. Of course, Matt Ward, Jason Hixenbaugh, Danny Luttrell from the UK. Our other First Ladies, Kaisa Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Britterson, and Rob Parsons. And, of course, good MF, Michael Fletcher. Great job as always. And, of course, Derek Ferreira, the man who, the brainchild behind all of this. And of course, all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12. Of course, all those from all the major networks like ESPN, Fox Sports 1, MLB Network, NHL Network, NFL Network, NBA TV, the whole 9 yards. All the men and women over there. Of course, special shout-outs to Julianne Peg-Soto from Channel 12. Special shout-out to Julie Alexandria from the San Diego Padres. Amanda Borges from the New York Rangers. And our friends from the Road Show, of course, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. They've been airing best of shows all week long. And, of course, former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson. And, of course, Status Sorrell. We can't forget about her either. And two special shout-outs. Of course, first and foremost, my wonderful church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. We haven't done anything much this week. We didn't have a service on Sunday because of Christmas. No Bible study either. But we'll be back on the normal schedule this Sunday for New Year's Day. We're gonna have a New Year's Day service on Sunday, and then Bible study will be back on Wednesday nights. So yeah, looking forward to that as always. And you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off Route 95 in Providence. So that's that. And last but not least, very special shout out to Lindsay McCormick. I mean, I've been reconnecting with her on Twitter, and so blessed and grateful to have this young lady in my life. She's just so amazing, and I'm hopeful one day I get to meet her. A wonderful sportscaster in her own rights. Doing these random events, here and there, but I am hopeful that one day she'll be on our show, and if she ever is on our show, it'll go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, show of all time. So I tell you what, she's I'm so grateful to have her. You know, her friendship and her love. She's just so amazing. And what else is there for me to say except she's beautiful, she's smart, and you know, she completes me in a way that I never thought was possible. So that's that. So very special shout out to you, Lindsay McCormick, and there you go. So that'll do it for this. So of course we're going to be all of course we normally would have done a show tomorrow night, but we're not going to be doing a show tomorrow night because we got the big UFC event tomorrow night, the return of Ronda Rousey. Bullock will be watching it with his dad. MF will be watching it at Dave and Buster's in Providence with his buddy Alex Zapata. Not sure what I'll do, but maybe the various means. I don't know. We'll see. And so no show tomorrow night. And then, of course, we're off on the weekend. And so that means we'll be back with you Monday night for the first Ridiculously Raw of 2017. We'll review Monday Night Raw, the first Raw of 2017. Of course, Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn, last man standing. And, of course, the return of Bill Goldberg. We're going to wait and see what he says. And so that, and then, of course, my review of 205 Live, No Impact Wrestling review. That was another best of show tonight. And then Tuesday night, 10 or 10:30 on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. It'll be Cerebral Smack Talk. First show of 2017. We'll review SmackDown Live. And then MF will have his Mikey's Mindset on Lucha Underground, ROH, among other things. And then next Friday night, another Football Friday. It'll be a Football Friday edition of Strictly Sports. It'll be one of the shorter shows this time around, as we're going to be previewing the 4 wild card matchups. We'll get into the 4 wild card games. We'll also preview the college football playoff national championship game, whichever 2 teams come out of that. And then we'll also have our final NFL power rankings of the season. So, and then it'll only get shorter from there. So that'll do it for this. So thank you also very much for tuning in. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, go to LMF Michael Fletcher, and of course, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a safe and happy New Year. Not to mention a blessed New Year. We wish you all New Year's blessings. And for those of you who do go out on Saturday, please keep it safe. Don't do anything. Don't be a stupid idiot muttonhead out there. Please. We don't want to hear anything about that. I mean, this year's been hard enough as it is. So here's hoping that 2017 will be a much, much, much better year. Hopefully the close to home debts will be kept at a minimum, a big time minimum. And hopefully all your wishes and dreams will come true in 2017. Not just for me and Bullock, but for all of you out there as well. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching this special edition of Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And for now, Anthony Florio, so long and Happy New Year.